have you made a tier list of the Marvel movies before?
Have I ever made a tier
Yeah, just
list of
like
Marvel?
on your own for fun or with a friend.
No, not really. I usually like to. I think I've outlined one. You know what I'm saying? But I've never
Yeah.
made one. So I've been
Like you've
like,
been like, oh, this is my favorite movie, this is my least
yeah,
favorite,
yeah,
but
yeah, 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 yeah. Or in like in casual conversation, I've been like, oh yeah, I've probably literally said this movie is S or A tier before, but I've never gone through every single movie and been like A tier, B tier, D tier, D tier, D tier, S tier.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. How about yourself?
I think I might have actually at one point, but I honestly don't remember it, and I think this is gonna be fresh. I think it's also unique because we talked about this before, but you've watched all these movies a lot more recently than I have.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Because you went through and watched them all again from start to finish. Some of these I think I've only seen once. Like there's a few that I've only seen once, but there's definitely a couple, and I'll mention them when we go through them.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think it'll be fun to try to like reminisce because I know you have a better memory of all of them pretty much.
Yeah, yeah.
So it'll be fun to talk, and I'll be like, oh yeah, that did happen. um,
So a blast for the past at the same time.
yeah. Also, I just noticed that Far From Home's on here, which doesn't really make sense. I guess it is part of the Infinity
I
Saga.
mean, like, yeah, that does feel weird because it's like kind of like weirdly positioned, but also like as far as when the movies came out, it's sort of still in that time frame,
Yeah.
like literally of our time frame, I guess. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as plot goes, it is post, so that is kind of yeah, that's interesting. We'll just go with it.
All right. I guess without further ado, do you want to kick us off? Are you going in any particular order, or just in the order that
Uh
the movies are laid out? I think I'm
no,
gonna
it's
go in the layout. That
okay. So we'll start top left here with
yeah, exactly.
Avengers Assemble. Okay, I was actually
Wait,
gonna
wait.
ask you that
Avengers
too.
Assemble. Oh yeah, okay. It is Avengers. Sorry.
I mean, it's
I f-
not. Yeah, yeah,
no, no, no.
yeah.
I forgot I was playing around earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a new order now?
Nope, nope, nope. It's good.
Okay, 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 okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask if we should go down or across by movies, but I like going by movie. Because in a way, then we have to just deal with what comes our way. So,
hmm
all right. So starting with Avengers, I'm gonna make a starting off strong. Um, I'm putting this one in A tier. Okay.
Okay.
So, watched this actually for like the fourth or fifth time recently.
hmm
Um, and I really like it. Obviously, otherwise I wouldn't put it in A tier. And some of this is gonna, I guess, some of our arguments, or rationale, I should say, are going to be different based on the fact that the number of times we've seen these movies. So it's just really odd for me to watch now, knowing what the characters and the dynamics evolve into. Okay.
Really.
So
Okay.
they're sort of clumsy in this movie, aside from obviously at the end when they kind of get their crap together and like you
Yeah, and
have
it's
like
hype, and they're on the
the classic
bridge, and
scene. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The end
yeah,
is so lit. But like
yeah.
when they're like figuring each other out, it makes sense. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. But it's kind of hard to go back and watch parts of it, in my opinion. It's a very entertaining
Interesting.
movie. I actually think, as far as like, I think the Avengers movies are all very rewatchable, like specifically the Avengers
hmm
movies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, going back and watching some of this, it gets a little cringe at times due to what you see the characters as later on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
So that's kind of my opinion. I was tempted to put it in S tier because holistically, like it brings a lot of them together. That was a really big deal. It's entertaining. I mean, Loki being the villain does really great. They all seem to play a part in this movie.
hmm
They fail, and then they bring it back together at the end, and they kind of they make do with a situation that realistically, I think they're not taken very seriously. One by Loki and um, the Chitauri like that they're up against. And then
hmm
it's true they never really worked before, so who knows? This is a giant risk, and Nick Fury kind of knows that as well. But they pull through. It's iconic and obviously set momentum for the rest of the MCU and the Infinity Saga specifically. But yeah, I'm gonna slap it in A tier because I know my S tier one's in mind already.
Okay. I guess that kind of goes into me next, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know the best way for us to actually go back and forth. Maybe like you go first once and I go first once and go back and
I
forth
like
like
that.
that.
I like that. No, we could trade, so you could do the next one. You could
Yeah,
do
yeah.
two.
Two?
Yeah, yeah. So like you could do. So on my list, Hulk is next, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I can do Avengers, you do Avengers, then you do Hulk, then I do Hulk, then I do
Yeah,
first
yeah. Okay,
Avenger.
yeah, yeah. That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
yeah,
All right, so it's funny because like all the reasons that you said that it was kind of like at A tier, I would give it S tier.
yeah. Okay.
I would start
Okay.
strong, giving event like this was like I think I saw this movie in theaters like 3 times. It
Mhm.
was also like nostalgic for me because it was like freshman year of high school for me. It was like one of the first movies I actually went on like a date to, which was
Oh,
cool. But again,
sentimental Sully S
yeah,
tier. Anyway.
sentimental. But like also it's like exactly what you said, where it's the first movie, at least that I'd ever seen, where a bunch of other where like a bunch of characters from other big movies came together to form an even bigger movie. I don't know. Also, I think Joss Whedon just does an amazing job with it. I think it's like it's pretty sad when Coulson dies,
Oh yeah.
like and like the whole like trading card thing where he has Cap's card and it's like in his pocket and it's like all bloody. Like it was kind of dark. Um, and like the scene in the woods, I think it's a little cheesy now, but it's like fun. And I don't know. I know you said it's like kind of if you go off like the how good they get later, it is kind of hard to be like, oh, that one was cheesy or like that, or it's not cheesy, but like it is cheesy, and it's hard to say that one was good. But I personally think it's still good. It still kind of holds up. Obviously, I haven't seen it as recently as you have, but I think based off of what I remember, and I think I did watch it like last year or the year before or something. But I just love this movie. I think it's great, and I don't know which ones are honestly my S tiers, but I think I'll try to keep it like limited. I don't want to just give them to everybody as
No, I
well.
get that. Oh,
So
you'll see what mine are.
I know one of them, and I'm not gonna agree with you at all.
Oh, I know, but the other ones you probably will.
All right, so the next one is Hulk. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give this one an F tier. Um, and the reason I say F tier for Hulk is one, I don't remember this movie at all. I'm not 100% certain I've even seen it, which is funny.
You're like, did I dream that I saw it?
Yeah, because like there were a bunch of Hulk movies in the 2000s, I feel like,
Yes, yes.
and I remember one of them, and I don't remember which one it is. I think I saw this one. I'm not sure. It's not even the same actor. Like it's not Mark
Right.
Ruffalo. It's what's his face?
Edward Norton.
Edward Norton. Yeah, and like I don't know. Obviously, it's not that big a deal. I know there's been recently some like callbacks to this movie with like Agent Ross or something, right?
Yeah, so I mean, not to get too deep into it, and I'm not nearly as big of an expert, but it's gonna be they're trying to basically bring it back in relevance in the phase that we're in.
Yeah, because
To the
his
point
love
where
interest is back, right?
right, to the point where like they've already confirmed so many characters from this to be in the next Captain America movie.
Yeah, because Abomination was in the She-Hulk show.
Yes, and in Shang-Chi.
Oh, right. Forgot about that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but again, I don't think it's that good of a movie from the fact that I don't even remember it very well. And B, the fact that I don't even have to rewatch it doesn't really feel like it's that big of a deal, at least with the Infinity Saga. Maybe, like you said, it'll matter in the next phase, and maybe that's when I'll finally go and rewatch it again. But at least for me, it's not like a big thing right now.
No, I
It's
got
an
you.
F. It's definitely an F tier.
Yeah. So, don't get mad at me, but I'm assuming you know you're good.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, yeah. So don't get mad at me, but I'm also gonna have to put this in F tier. So, basically for a lot of the same reasons you said. So I did rewatch it, and I remembered watching it the first time, but there's a couple things in particular that I have problems with. Number one, I think it's just hard to do a Hulk movie because Hulk is literally supposed to be like this not unstoppable force, right? But like a giant thing that runs around supposed to overpower everything and just wrecks. So I think that's already sort of hard. And I understand that a lot of times the plot of this movie and the point of it is like part of that control part. Like, how can we use the power of Hulk to be a hero without basically recklessly, there's danger of him losing control, that sort of thing. One thing, and that you didn't say, because I'm not gonna be like completely redundant, but that really bothers me in movies, and I'm sure people who, if anybody ever stumbles across this, and they're like, "Oh, I'm a movie critic or film critic XYZ," you just don't understand. And that you're uncultured swine. Yeah, I probably am, but opening credits that exist, like an opening credit sequence that exists to help fill in backstory, annoys the hell out of me. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think so.
Okay,
But explain it
so
further, just in case.
okay, so like the movie just starts, right? So this is like an origin movie. Um, but during the opening credits where it's like flashing the like stuff that you'll also see in the end credits, but it's like directed by whatever and blah blah blah. And like there's usually music and like maybe something's happening. I don't remember all the ins and outs, but the imagery and like there's like newspapers and stuff that
Mm-hmm.
like you can read, and there's like scenes flashing, and those are all designed to be like establishing some backstory or like lore that have happened before the exact scene when the movie starts.
Yeah.
I freaking hate that crap. Okay, so this does not help its case at all, and this
Yeah.
movie does it. And I know this movie isn't part of the tier list that we're about to do, but Black Widow also does it.
Oh.
And now that one's a little different because it's just like it's a montage of scenes of like the Black Widow units doing things,
Oh
if I
yeah,
remember
yeah, yeah.
correctly. But
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I know
God,
what you're
I
talking about.
cannot stand that as a movie technique.
You'd rather them do like a full credits like the OG Spider-Man movies or what? Opening credits. Or do you like the movie to start with like the opening
I just
credits kind
like
of
the movie
happening on the
starting.
side?
I just like
Okay,
the
yeah.
movie starting. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
would rather like I want to say maybe I mean we'll get to this movie, but maybe Winter Soldier starts and maybe they're doing that like opening credits while he's running or whatever. I don't know. But
Yeah,
like
that's cool.
if you can do like a low engagement scene while also playing the opening credits, like that's fine. I'm into it. The opening credits aren't too distracting. But like
Yeah.
don't waste my time with this crap. And also if the information was relevant enough that you felt like there needed to be something that explained it, then you needed to not do it during the opening credits.
Yeah, it almost feels like a
It's a
TV
cop out.
show. Huh?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or
I don't
like
know.
the
That's
TV show, it's like they have this scene and then they have like the intro
yeah.
to the show and then they have the rest of the movie. Like you don't like it when it's broken up like that, or you don't like it when like there's big words popping over people's faces as they're talking.
No, I don't like. I think I'm more the first thing of what you were saying.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, and then honestly, pretty forgettable movie. I feel like yeah, they're trying to bring it back, but I think that's because there's material. Like Marvel, I'll give them credit, and I'm just speculating, but they've been pretty good about something existed, like we can bring it back until we've literally destroyed it. So in a way, this is untapped material that they can bring back in to kind of spice things up. And I'm like, you know what? If you can do it well, I'm cool with that. Whatever.
Yeah.
Also, there's plenty of Hulk storyline that they have not fleshed out from comics, and I don't even know comics well, but I know that's true. Um, and but I feel like through the rest of this, they did their damnedest to not have like practically any references to this movie, literally anything except for Ross occasionally coming in. And
Yeah.
so aside from that, I feel like they knew. They're like, we don't really want to give this movie any more attention or glory than it needs. So that in itself also proves just how F tier it is.
Isn't Tony Stark in it?
Yeah, he's at the very end.
It's like the end credit scene for that.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
like that's like a fun little thing, but again,
Yeah.
that's not that in itself is not enough to warrant the movie. But you're right, you're right. He's in the bar or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So yeah, that's what I have to say about the Hulk. Have fun in F tier.
yeah.
And then all right, next moving on to one of my favorite characters, obviously. So we
Obviously.
got Captain America, the first Avenger.
Dun, dun, dun,
Um,
dun, dun.
dun, 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 dun. All right, banging theme, obviously. Banging movie, to be honest. But to Sully's surprise, I'm sure I'm gonna put it in B tier. Um, so it's a good movie. Really like it. I think as far as some of the characters, their first movies, and throughout this list, I think it's a stronger first movie.
Hmm.
However, I do feel like the movie kind of takes a while, if I'm being honest. Like the runtime to me is just a little too long. There are parts that I feel like they made overly cheesy, but there's still some like really iconic lines in this. I don't. Unfortunately, the one doctor's name is escaping me, but the guy who originally like creates the super soldier serum and decides that Steve's the one to use it, like that man
Oh
says
yeah.
some good lines, great character. Um, but I kind of feel like there is the period of him not being a soldier yet, but more being a like propaganda, like publicity, public image, basically mascot, I guess.
Hmm.
I feel like that period takes a little too long for me. Um, and I am somewhat critical of pacing. You'll probably hear that in other movies when we talk about them. But I do like the character a lot. I do think it's a good first origin story. And I mean, again, it's hard for me. I just love the character. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna put it at B tier. Part of my rationale that I'll say at the end of some of these is if you were to say to me, Sully, you're like, hey, how about we watch this tonight? My level of hesitation at your initial just mention of the movie. So I think I would be like, yeah, I could get behind this, but this is not usually any of my go-to as far
Gotcha.
as like I would rarely
See.
be like, man, you know what I'm feeling tonight? Captain America the First Avenger. So yeah.
I agree, but I also think this is like one of the movies. It's like similar to the. It's not one you watch regularly, so if that's the rationale, I'd be like, yeah, I'd totally be down to watch that. I haven't seen that in forever. Versus like
Oh,
some of the
to
other
mix it
ones,
up.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Versus like some of the other ones, I'd be like, yeah, I've seen that too many times. I'm okay. But no, I understand the rationale there.
Hmm.
Now you
It's a
ready
good
for?
challenge. It's a good challenge that you just
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
To be honest.
So
All
I
right.
guess are you
Let
ready
me
for
hear you.
my rating for Captain America: The First Avenger? And you will be surprised, I think, but I also give it a B tier for pretty
Okay.
much the same reasons. Well, not exactly the same reasons. I think, um, like the propaganda part doesn't really bother me. Like I think Red Skull's also done pretty well, given like the CGI is kind of rough.
Hmm.
Um, I think the story with the Bucky scene is so bad. CGI when he falls from the train.
Yeah.
That's rough.
That's it. I'll admit it's not a
Like the
pleasant
Human
memory.
Torch CGI was better than that. Um, but I think I don't know. I really liked the whole message behind Captain America.
Mm.
I think it's really well done. It shows well in this movie how it's more of your heart than your strength that matters and all that jazz. Um, I don't know. I just think it's really well done, and I think it's a good origin movie. I don't think all the origin movies are great. We'll talk
No.
more about them later, but I think this is it's like what are there 4 origin movies that we can basically say?
No. I mean, there's a couple of them.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
Well,
okay.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah,
guess I'm
yeah,
talking about phase 1 origin
yeah, yeah,
movies.
yeah. Then
Of
yes, yeah, yeah,
of the phase 1 origin movies, this cuz there's 4, this leans towards the better ones.
yeah, yeah.
Which I guess there's only 4, so and one of them's already in F tier. So
No, but I definitely agree with you. It's one of the. It's in the stronger 50%.
which isn't saying much.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good movie. I really like Chris Evans as an actor,
Oh yeah.
just in general, and I think he did a great job with the role.
He definitely kills it.
Um, yeah, and I think it's just a good intro for Captain America. Moving on, we have Iron Man 2. It feels weird rating Iron Man 2 before Iron Man, but yeah, I
Yeah.
guess it's the way
Well,
that
wait till we get till after that.
True. Maybe we should have gone in like release order, but oh well, this is funny. Iron Man 2, it's funny. This is similar to the Hulk. Well, not as similar. I know I've seen this movie. Like I definitely watched this movie, especially in theaters. I think I've only seen it once. Like I've seen a bunch of clips from it since then, but like the scene on the raceway, like that's sick when he puts on the suit.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
given what we know now, obviously it's not as cool, but
But
like
that's
back
a step towards that, to be
yeah, but
honest.
like back then it was so cool when he did that. And then like War Machine was really cool. That was a real first introduction of
Mm-hmm.
Black Widow, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And like her scene in the boxing like was sick when she took down Happy. I think that was the first movie with Happy too, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah.
That was your introduction to like Agent Coulson, Shield, Nick Fury. I think besides like the end credits of the first Iron Man movie, um, and like the end credits of Captain America, because this movie came out before Avengers, I think, right?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, this was the last movie before Avengers, I think. Yeah, or am I wrong?
That part I don't know, but I know it was either like right before or two before. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was probably right before.
yeah. So, anyways, like it's an
No, I
enjoyable.
think Captain America was right before. But
Oh, it
anyway,
is.
yeah,
I guess that makes sense because he's like boxing and stuff,
because
right?
the I remember watching. Sorry, people, this is a side tangent, but I want to say that right after like Nick Fury, like he breaks out of his little like fake prison, the one where they were trying to trick him, into thinking that he was still in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Um, right after that, I want to say when I saw Captain America in theaters, they had a trailer for Avengers.
Gotcha.
That was like the second end credits scene.
That
Was
would
like
it would also make sense because he was still kind of like locked up in New York when Avengers started,
right, right,
and it like seemed like
exactly.
not a whole lot of time had passed because he was still kind
Yeah,
of like, oh yeah, this is going on.
right, right.
Whereas Iron Man, there's maybe it was like right after, I don't know, but either
Yeah.
way, like there are some cool parts of this movie. I'm also like I'm thinking of like the final fight, also like Whiplash, I think was the villain or something like that. I don't remember his
Mm-hmm.
name.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is cool, and then I think I remember this is like the movie where he has like that kind of like he finds like a movie from his dad, and he starts rearranging all the pipes to create a more powerful. Oh, not why can't I think of the word? Um, uh, I can't think of his device.
The arc reactor.
Arc reactor. Wow,
Yeah, yeah.
I kept thinking Tesseract. I'm like, that's not it.
I was thinking it was either that or the laser thing he shoots. I don't remember what he calls that.
Yeah, but
But I was
but
like
he shoots it and he powers it,
from
and
the
that's
arc reactor.
yeah
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
of that he creates like the triangular
Yep.
chess piece instead.
The stronger and more efficient one, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's cool, but I don't think it's that great of a movie. Like I remember watching it and thinking like, oh, this is pretty mid, and because of that, I'll give it a C tier. I think it's a low C tier at that.
Yeah.
Like I think I could easily readjust this. Like depending on how the movies come later, I might
Yeah.
readjust it and it becomes a D tier. But like this is probably a low C, high D for me. The fact that I was just kind of remembering it and reminiscing, I think I enjoyed it more. But again, I've only seen it once since it came out, and I feel like that's a pretty big indicator that I didn't enjoy it that much. I guess.
Um, I also that my big debate was C or D. I'll probably go with C. My big struggle with the movie in general is it's honestly a chore for me to watch. I think there's good things in it, like you already touched on a lot of them. Bringing in a lot of the characters that ended up being really relevant is cool. I like that, but I don't know. It's kind of weird to me that almost one of the bigger conflicts of the movie is not the quote unquote like big bad of the movie, like being Whiplash. Like truly, his struggle with like I would say the government and Rhodey and all of that to me is like really. I think that's interesting, I guess, but
Mm-hmm.
not in a good way. It just felt like a really, I don't know, it just seems kind of messy to me. I do like that Black Widow's in it and a lot of the characters that we come to know. Um, but in a weird way, like, and I'm probably going to say the same thing about Iron Man 3 with a few exceptions, it really doesn't do that much.
Yeah.
Like, it could have almost not happened and we wouldn't, and
I've
certain
cared.
things that come to exist would not have been drastically different.
Yeah.
But I will say, I do think they take a good opportunity, and you spoke to some in the movie to show that he is continuing to push the tech.
Mm-hmm.
Which, as we know, like every time we see Iron Man in a movie from like here on out, he has some new entrance or a new feature or some either issue that he worked out or strength that he made even better. And so I do think the movies do a good job of like establishing that like credibility to that. And I do like at the very end how he like works together, like it's Iron Man and Iron Patriot like doing their because he's still Iron Patriot, right? I don't know if he changes his name to War Machine at the end, but whatever.
Oh, right. I forgot
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
but I mean, that's not that important. I just can remember when that happens. How they like work together. That's kind of neat, you know. Um, but yeah, in general, I mean, this movie is a little bit like, again, just use the same rationale. If you suggest this, I would be like, no. So C tier.
That's
And I
funny.
want to put it in
See,
D, but I also know what is to come, and that is slightly adjusting my view.
see, that's funny because like again, it kind of goes to the same thing. Where it's like I haven't seen this movie in
You'd be
so long.
like, dang, yeah, let's see what that was all
Yeah,
about.
I'd kind of be like, yeah, sure, I'll watch it. I haven't seen this in forever. But understandable.
Yeah. All right. So we're moving on to a big old one here.
Yeah, really.
So, Avengers Infinity War. I'm slapping this as my first S tier. This,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
not only is there just the nostalgia factor of like, I think this had the best marketing. I know that has nothing to do with the movie, but when those trailers started dropping, people were going nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And the trailer, you can go back and watch the trailer. It is still so well done. Like I get goosebumps.
Mm-hmm.
And then that speaks to the movie itself. It is crazy how, we get to this point and that throughout. I mean, Civil War is a big catalyst for this, but even the other movies at this point, they'd established so many different parts, and it brings them all together. And even when the movie starts, how it kind of hop around and be like, these people are here, these people are here, this is this status, this is this status, and then it slowly brings them together. I think it was a crazy, difficult thing for them to. I mean, first of all, the movie starts off crazy with the transmission, or like you can hear the Asgardian ship, and so you're like, oh, what's going on? It starts off really serious,
Yeah.
and I feel like that was in the era where Marvel movies started getting really funny, like they were trying to embrace that.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts off really serious. Man kills Loki. Thanos beats Hulk. Like we could talk about Thanos all on his own. Like him in this movie, he wrecked. And then
He was the main character of this movie.
fact.
Yeah.
They start bringing in. It was no, you're absolutely right. They start bringing in all the other characters, and I feel like there was hype that was established very early, and they are able to maintain that through the whole movie. And I have felt that way. That even when I rewatch the movie, it still maintains like, how they're like movies are supposed to have a climax.
Mm-hmm.
Like there still is one, but like it's continuously building the whole time. It's not like a scary movie or modern day scary movies that just have random jump scares and then like the energy drops for a while to build back up to a jump scare. Like this whole time it is go 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 go. The action is high. There's energy even in the scenes where they have to stop and talk. Like I feel like the characters you're watching as the viewer and you're almost like with them because there's a sense of urgency. Like people will meet up and they're just keeping the interactions real quick. Doctor Strange meets Tony and Pepper and like they're instantly just like wasting no time. They're like, hey, this is about to happen, blah 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 blah. Then they start fighting. Spider-Man gets involved, they just start fighting. Like even in the scenes that I would say more like dialogue and plot oriented, they go quick.
Yeah.
Which they should be. They don't have time to stand around.
Like Captain America's introduction and all that.
Yeah, and was just about to get to that when he comes in. That scene is so sick. You were good. Love that scene so much. The music is crazy. Him emerging from the shadows, and then underrated is how like his little squad at the time with Falcon and Black Widow, they come in and they do teamwork. Mm-hmm. Like that was sick too because like I've always liked that in the movies when they come together and they have like combo moves. Like I just kind of nerd out at that stuff.
It's like the game.
So when they do that. Like them coming in is awesome, and then even when all the characters meet up, even the points of like contention a little bit, those are kind of funny. With like even like Doctor Strange and Spider-Man.
Oh, and the ship.
And the Guardians and stuff. Well, yeah. Peter, like specifically, like that stuff's kind of funny. And they make it all work together. And I feel like there's legitimate frustration when they're all fighting Thanos, and it seems like they're throwing everything at him, and he just won't budge. And then obviously, like I feel like I could keep talking about this forever, but they balance so many things because even the characters go off and they do their separate stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they manage to split the screen time amongst those people, and it doesn't feel like they rush it.
Yeah.
Like
for sure.
You like spend a good amount of time with this. They develop whatever task they're trying to do. All right, let's check back in with these people, and it seems like they just paced that really well. and the stakes just felt really high. And even when you watch the movie again, like the stakes just seem legit, even though you know how it's gonna go. And then all the way to the end, and when it ends, like I remember seeing this in theaters for the first time, and someone in the theater literally yelled "What the f" at the end, and like same,
Well, that's
like
because
you're like
when
what?
that's because when that movie came out, we were under the impression because we were originally told there were going to be two Infinity War movies or two
Right,
Avengers movies, and
right,
then they came out again and they're like, oh no, there's just one. Never mind. And this is
right,
going to have like a 3 hour runtime. We're like, okay, cool. Like it'll end, and then at the
right,
end, everyone's turning to dust, and you're like, wait, what? No.
right.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, crazy. Like, I mean, throughout the whole thing, there have been theories, but then the theories for that one went wild because everybody was like, I mean, obviously they revealed it later on, but like everybody was like, oh, Ant Man's gonna do this, and it's gonna have something to do with time travel. But like nobody could quite get like what was gonna happen.
Yeah.
And so like the world was
Yeah, I
crazy,
remember the
but
year leading up to Endgame afterwards. Everyone, yeah, I remember that.
yeah, I still think that I could slap this movie on when I do anything, and like anytime. I could rewatch this so many times. It's so good. The music is incredible. I
Yeah.
think the acting is really good. And I know people diss on superhero movies, but like when the people start turning to dust, like that is so sad. Especially obviously we got like, the I'm sorry, Mr. Stark, like that thing, I don't wanna die.
I don't want to
Um
go. I don't
I
want
don't
to
wanna
go.
go. Yeah, like that hurts.
Ugh.
Um and I just think it's a very fun movie, but it's an adventure, it's a ride, and again, I'm gonna stop talking. S tier.
Oh, jeez. Wow, you're putting me on the spot now. I better rank it highly. No, I obviously agree. I think not to say give any spoilers, but I would say this is. Well, I guess I should probably rank them like in order, even on my tier list. And now I have two S's, but I think Infinity War is better than the original Avengers.
Oh yeah, I do too.
Um, so, but yeah, I agree. That movie was amazing. I remember leaving the theaters. I still kind of had chills. Like
Yeah.
it was so everything that I loved about the original Avengers movie, it kind of felt like that, but like times 10. Like the original Avengers movie was so cool because it brought all these characters together, four characters that we loved or from other movies, or like four
Yeah.
movies, you know what I mean. But then Infinity War just did it to like another degree. Like it brought every movie that we had seen over the past decade into like all these characters into one movie, and it was just so much fun to watch. And like you said, it starts out strong, continues strong. Like the only the only quarrel I really have with this movie is kind of like the Peter Dinklage part where Thor is building his
Yeah.
axe or his the
Oh, we've talked about this. I think I know where you're going with it, but keep going.
uh I don't remember what we talked
Oh.
about.
Oh.
Go
Okay.
for it though. Yeah,
You
yeah,
want
yeah,
me to
yeah. I'm
predict?
trying. Yeah, I'm.
So I love Ragnarok, and I know you do too. And I feel
Mhm.
like them being like, "Oh, you need to build another weapon,"
Yeah,
totally threw out part of the development of Ragnarok, which was all like, "Oh, you don't need a weapon to be powerful, Thor. Like you are in yourself, like strength."
yeah,
And then
yeah.
they're like, "Damn, I need a weapon."
Yeah,
Like
it's like, oh, you
you're
had
like,
Mjolnir, you
"Excuse
don't need
me?"
him, and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
But then they built Stormbreaker, and then is Groot technically worthy? That whole thing.
mm,
Um, but I mean, that part was the only like kind of like but I still enjoyed it. Like I still
mhm.
liked it. I think it was kind of funny seeing Peter Dinklage like as like that creature dwarf character that they made. I don't even know what he was technically.
Yeah,
Um, but it was cool. Like I enjoyed it. Um, like everything on Titan was super intense. Um, like everyone kind of shit on Star Lord after the movie came out, which was really funny. But then like
yeah.
everyone, and then like you had people defending him, going Doctor Strange would have controlled him if he knew otherwise.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but the scene that I love from this movie, like I just love this fight. I think I've watched the fight over and over. It's just everything in Wakanda. Like
Oh
everything in
yeah.
Wakanda is sick, especially when Thor's
Thor's
entrance
entrance.
is one of the best superhero entrances I've ever seen, and don't think it can or will be topped.
Yeah.
Like that was unbelievably amazing.
Oh yeah.
Like I got so many goosebumps, and he's like, "Bring me Thanos," and then he just like chucks Stormbreaker and kills all the Chitauri again, and then starts just like I don't know. He like literally just saves all their butts,
Yep.
and
Right when they were like all struggling too.
yeah, and then like the climactic moment when Thanos is like, "You should have gone for the head." It's like what? Oh, like with Thor, like it just showed you how powerful Thor was. Like that was
Right.
intense,
Right.
and yeah, it was again Avengers: Infinity War. Honestly, of this list, it's kind of unfair because there's so many amazing characters in it that I would
Hmm.
say it's my favorite movie, but like it's definitely up there. Um, it's yeah, it's so good. I loved Avengers: Infinity War, but I feel like we've talked enough about that one now.
In case
Um,
y'all didn't get it, we really like this movie.
yeah, we
So
really
anyway,
like this. This is an enjoyable one. Like I feel like it's just like the culmination of so much work,
mhm.
and it's great to watch. But anyways, moving on. Um, Next movie, which is Black Panther, I think, right? Yep,
Yeah.
Black Panther for both of us. Um, this goes back and forth for me. It has. I actually rewatched this one before the second one came out, so I rewatched it last year. So I have seen
Okay.
it more recently. I didn't finish it.
Okay.
I kind of just watched the first half, and then the second half kind of started, and I didn't really care to finish because I remembered what happened. Um, and I just don't remember enjoying it when I first watched it. There was something about it. I know it got a lot of heat for its CGI, especially at
Hmm.
the ritual scene when they're like fighting.
Yeah.
Like like I rewatched it and I was like, all right, the CGI is not that bad. So like, why am I not really enjoying this? Because like Black Panther as a character himself is sweet. Like
Yeah.
I think I honestly had some issues with Shuri. I think is her name, right?
Yeah. Yeah. The sister. Yeah.
Yeah, because like it was basically like everyone was like, oh yeah, she's just as smart as Tony Stark and like can build all this tech, and because it's Wakanda, it's even stronger than Tony Stark's. And I think part of that is like maybe my admiration for Iron Man, just like was like, oh
Hmm.
screw this girl, I don't like her. And then I also like didn't really like Killmonger. I just felt like his whole rationale of the movie of like I'm gonna give weapons to everybody to even the score, and I don't know. It just
Hmm.
I think this is like a big thing for me. I think a movie can only be as good as its villain, which
Okay.
is why I firmly believe that the original Spider-Man movies are some of the best Spider-Man movies, just because Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin's amazing, and I can't remember Alfred Molina, his Doc
Yeah.
Ock is amazing. Like I think those two Spider-Man movies
Oh
are
yeah, for
absolutely
sure.
amazing. Not because Tobey Maguire is a good Spider-Man, like he was decent, but I think
Yeah.
those villains just crushed it. And
And
I
I mean,
just
we just talked about Thanos, so
yeah,
like,
and Thanos was amazing, which made Infinity War great. I think Loki's also a good villain. Like I think he plays
yes,
that part
yes.
well. I don't think Killmonger was a great villain. I think Michael B. Jordan played a good part. I just
Yeah.
don't think Killmonger did a great job. Or I don't think Killmonger is written well, I guess. I don't know. I just didn't really enjoy it. I think Black Panther for me is a high C, low B. I think for now I'll put it at a low B. I'll put it at a low B. We'll see what else goes up there.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll go ahead and start things off by saying also in the B category for me, but I'm actually putting it above Captain America: The First Avenger.
Oh, okay.
Some of the reasons for this are I agree with a good amount of what you said, but a lot of the things that I appreciate about it are come from mainly like I feel like this was one of the first movies to establish, I would say, more of like philosophical conflicts within Marvel movies, which become a major theme through from this phase basically throughout the whole rest of it, especially like Civil War.
Mhm.
Um, and I do think the acting is really good, especially specifically in the leads. Like I think Michael B. Jordan kills it. I'm also incredibly biased. I'm gonna go ahead and let the fans know that like I love the Creed franchise. So I'm gonna go ahead
No,
and
yeah,
I
Michael B.
like
Jordan kills it. I just didn't like
yeah, yeah,
Killmonger.
and obviously Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman was amazing.
I think what I struggle with as far as the villain goes is on the one hand, because also Marvel in general, there are a few times that this is not true, but I would say more often than not has a villain with somewhat of a relatable motivation. But I
Mm-hmm.
don't like it when it's like, okay, you had a little bit of a point there, and then you also took it to the level of like being a psychopath.
Yeah.
I think Thanos is the one exception to that. Like his literal notion of like, oh, I need the universe to be balanced, so I'm literally going to destroy half the universe. Like that's still psychotic, but also at the same time, like he's a great villain. So
Yeah.
Killmonger too, like, I mean, part of his thing coming from his childhood, and then him being like, you know, I mean, he comes in and he's like, "You're all noble. You don't know what it's really like." Like, I kind of give him a point with that. Like, there have been people out there in the world that have been struggling that Wakanda could have helped. But then
Yeah.
his whole point of like, I'm gonna walk in, basically do a coup, and then give out weapons of high level and destruction to the world. That's like
Because
when it
that'll make
starts.
it better.
Right, that's when it starts hitting like the too high of a parts.
My
However, that conflict in itself, I was like, this is a very real and like throughout human history, like conflict of like, okay, you have the ability to help. Do you do it or do you protect the things around you? Like,
yeah.
what should you
Do you save
prioritize?
yourself or
Right, or like
yeah.
not even just yourself, but like Wakanda's big thing is kind of like it feels like they're like, I'm gonna take care of my family, so the immediate things around me, even though there are things that I could do more with, like when do I and when don't I? And I feel like that's still a conflict that's relevant to even like the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so there's like that. I also think that, um,
I did like
I mean,
M'Baku. I forgot about him.
oh
He
yeah,
was a great
Mbaku's
addition.
awesome.
Yeah.
Mbaku's awesome.
I really liked him. I just remembered something I disliked though. The
Yeah.
his friend. His
Oh, the
friend
friend
that really
that
wants
Daniel. I don't remember his last name.
the guy from Get Out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, he was annoying, and the
But
fact
like
that
his
he just
character didn't make any sense. Like
right
Killmonger shows up and all of a sudden he's like,
sounds
"Yes,
good.
I don't believe my best like I don't trust my best friend
Well,
anymore. Let's overthrow him." Like that's literally his mindset. Like
that
right?
was like yeah, and that was another thing too, and it seems to go against Wakandan culture. Like, not that like I understand it super well, but they seem pretty loyal.
Yeah.
And then like
I don't
his
know.
thing is like his big thing seemed to be like, well, rules are the rules. Like he's king, so I have to be like loyal to him now. And it's like, bro, what? Like
Mm,
this is your friend, and you're just gonna trust some dude who just walked in here? Yeah, like that part doesn't make sense to me. I liked the ideal. I also liked that one thing that's really interesting to me is him. Well, I guess actually now that I think about it, this movie came after Civil War. Um, I still liked the like philosophical conflict, but I really liked that a big overarching part of the story was basically um, T'Challa becoming like worthy of king
yeah.
because like yeah he's king at the beginning and everything, but like low key like they just kind of give it to him. Like
Hmm.
he earns it. Yeah, he wins that first fight, whatever. But I feel like even when I'm watching it, I'm like I know what's gonna happen. And then when he gets his butt whooped, he's outside. He's like low key a fugitive and everything like that. I think
But like, okay, at
in a
the
way.
end, he beats him with the Black Panther powers, not without the Black Panther powers. So is he truly worthy?
Well, I still think this. I would say yeah,
Cause like
but no, no, no.
he's
I don't think it's.
trained as Black Panther for years.
But worthy, I think, is different. I'm not saying worthy of the powers. I'm saying worthy of being the king and leading the nation.
Yeah, I just
I
didn't think it was a fair fight.
well, that's fair. That's fair. I don't. Yeah, I mean that's just how it was written. I guess it would be interesting if they both fought powerless again.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to I would still say that it's less about the powers and more about his ability to use them at that point because
Yeah, no,
I
I don't
do
know. I just think that's funny. I just think it's like
I
oh
do
he
like
became stronger. It's like well he's used the powers for years.
I do like superhero movies where a big point of the plot is for them to because like a lot of
It's
times
like
I
a
think their
mental
movies
challenge than a physical
well
challenge.
yeah, but I would say I think that sometimes it's weird when like they coast on their powers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so then I always think it's like good when there is a somewhat of a montage. I mean, that's more than superhero movies. I guess it's like a lot of movies in general when a big point of the plot is like for them to actually be able to like self actualize the potential they have.
Hmm.
Um, I like that. I do think that happens in this movie, and yeah, it's true. I actually think they missed an opportunity to not somehow level the playing field and then have him, you know, like duke it out with him with Killmonger at the end with no powers. I agree, but still, them and both of them with powers though, because they're at that point they're both super.
Yeah.
He beats them. So I don't know. I enjoy the movie. I could also rewatch it. I think the music's really good. I do like when they. I think the last fight's a little mid, so that again, it's only like really B tier. But I like the conflict.
I
Just
like the
really like the
Warriors.
character. Yeah, I really like the character. I like a lot of the supporting characters too.
Yeah, there's
So I
good
like
supporting
Okoye a
characters.
lot, and I really like M'Baku.
Yeah,
Um,
Okoye was badass.
so I think it's just a personal preference thing for me at this point. But yeah, B tier. So anyway, I spent way too long on that. But
Oh no.
now time to spend
Oh
even
no.
more time. Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
We don't
Yes,
have to spend
people,
much time on this one.
I am one of those people. S tier. I still actually would watch Infinity War over it. However, I do think this is. You know what? No, we're gonna do it just for the hell of it. I cannot say enough good things about this movie. I'll start with number one. It is literally a spy movie that's a superhero movie. Number two, I think that Iron Man and Captain America are like incredibly well written characters, and I think the only thing that I would give value to for Iron Man 2 and 3 do help with this with Tony Stark's like entire arc as a character. I'll give them a little bit of value for that, otherwise I don't really like them that much. This movie though is insane for how much it changes Steve's character. And there are quotes throughout the entire series that kind of like represent where he's at. And so with his whole identity as like a super soldier, towards the beginning, he's very much like, I have a job to do. I'm supposed to follow orders slash fight for my team slash whatever. Um, and this is the first movie where I feel like that's getting turned 180. And I think he starts to become skeptical and not trusting of other things. Um, and that's because like he realized that something he was trusting, so being Shield, Hydra was in Shield. And when the second you learn that, I feel like you're like mind. I feel like as a plot point, you're like, oh wow, that's really interesting. But I feel like if you were Steve the character, you'd be mind blown
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, oh my god, like this is everywhere. Also, Black Widow kicks butt in the movie. Nick Fury. I think this is the first movie where you're like, wow, Nick Fury is a BA. Like this man was wild in the movie when
Have
he's
you
like,
heard have you heard all the theories
other
that he was a scroll from this
the,
movie on?
the whole time. I
Yeah.
have. I actually think that would be really interesting, and in a way, it's written in a way so that I feel like it could
Like
be.
when he faked his death in this one, he
Yeah,
actually became a scroll after that or something.
yeah, yeah. Um. Anyway, I
Sorry.
think that the no, no, you're good. I think that there's a lot of intense scenes, which is different, like, but sort of like a spy movie, like high tension, especially like when you see Winter Soldier. I mean, that means just a silent assassin, like for a while, and he just like walks in and like wrecks stuff. I know when they fight him and they're like on the freeway,
Mm-hmm.
like that scene's so baller,
Yeah.
and he fights all of them, gets away. Like it's just really interesting. I think the end of the movie is pretty sick. When Black Widow like outsmarts the council. And then the fight is a little, the only critique I'll have is the fight between him and Bucky is a little cliche
At the
because it's
end.
like, but there's cliche in everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's over the top cliche, but it's just like, yeah, of course, like you're not going to be able to beat your friend, sort of thing. He still is successful. I do think it is interesting when Bucky saves him, but then still leaves, and obviously that comes up again later. But I think this movie is insane. It's really exciting. Like I said, I think it's sort of genre bending and being. I legitimately feel like this is a spy movie because there's a big mystery in it the whole time. I mean, it may not seem like a mystery if like you think about one, if you know comics at all, you know Bucky's gonna be the Winter Soldier, and number two, like I don't know, I just feel like general knowledge of the first movie, you're like, oh wow, how ironic would it be if an off-screen death brought it, or like a death that was quote unquote off-screen, they really didn't die. That never happens in movies. Wow, shock and surprise, he didn't die. Like
Yeah.
but I find this movie really fun. I really like the beginning. I think it's one of the most iconic opening scenes when
That's
he's
true.
running.
It is.
And
It is like a quaint opening scene that's just kind of like
it is, it
heartwarming.
is, it is. And I think it says a lot about their character. I know people aren't big fans of Falcon, and I get it. But I think in this movie, he's pretty sick for sure. Like this is sort of peak Falcon. Not that he appears in like as large of a role ever again. But yeah, I think all the supporting characters in this movie are awesome. Love Steve, love the twist. I think in general, when we get to Civil War, I'm already going to go ahead and jump into this. This is the movie that completely shapes Steve's character in Civil War, and so I think it is way more important than some people give it like credit
Do
for in
you think he
general.
kind of goes back in Age of Ultron then?
Back in what sense?
Like you're saying, like his mindset changes from Winter Soldier to what it is in Civil War, but like in Age of Ultron, like I don't remember him saying anything specific.
Well, I don't necessarily know that it is a point. But I don't necessarily think there's anything for him to be. I don't think there's anything for him to be applied that to in sorry, not Infinity War, in Age of Ultron. So
Yeah,
like, I think this movie is more about shaping Steve, and then Age of Ultron is more about shaping Tony in a way. Um,
that's true. Yeah,
and so I don't necessarily want to say that he went back, but I also don't think like he evolved. Like I think this plants the seeds, I
yeah,
would say, and then by the time Civil War comes, that's when everything's peaking.
yeah.
But we'll get there. So I'm putting this in S tier. Sully, you're up.
All right.
If it's in D or below, I'm ending the video.
It's not gonna be D or
Just,
below.
I'm just kidding.
It's actually F. It's F tier. Um, no, it's I don't know. I just I struggle with this movie. People either love it or it's mid, I think. That's my general consensus of people I've talked to. And I'm one of the people that thinks it's mid. I think it's better. I'm gonna put it in B tier. It's the top of the B tier. I'll at
Okay.
least give you that. I think it's better than Captain America: The First Avenger, but like I don't feel like it's better by much. Like
Okay.
I I think this was just like a thing for me in that I didn't enjoy the Captain America movies as much as the other superhero movies because like in a sense like you said it was a spy movie and I wasn't going in thinking oh I'm going to watch a spy movie, I'm going to watch a superhero movie. And then the other thing with Captain America is that like he's just a guy with a shield, like a really buff guy with a shield. Like that's essentially all he is. And at the time, I remember watching, going like, Captain America is not my favorite. I love Iron Man. I want to watch the Iron Man movie. But like as an adult, I have a more appreciation for Captain America. I guess you could maybe say I was a little immature at the time. I don't know. But I did actually rewatch half this movie. I think about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I got to the part where Nick Fury gets blown up in the car or whatever, or shot in the car. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
And they get to, is it Armanzola's base?
Yeah.
Yeah, they get there, and that's all
And
I
he's on the
watch.
computer or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, and I stopped there, and like all the scenes leading up to that were like good. Like the elevator scene, iconic, sick.
Oh, absolutely.
The opening credit scene, like you already said, sick. The Winter Soldier scene where he catches the shield, also sick. The fight on the bridge, also sick. Like all of that, really, really cool, really well done. It's just like I don't know. I just felt like something was missing. Um,
Okay.
I felt like I remember the end was stupid to me. Like I think the whole way that Captain America deals with the big ol' ships. I don't really remember what the because I didn't watch the ending, but like the ships are going to destroy something, right? Like they're getting like they're
Yeah.
about to
So,
leave and like go destroy something, and Captain America's like jumping from ship to ship to take them down before they do so.
well, what
They're
happens with
helicarriers, right?
they are, yeah, yep, they're helicarriers, and the point was, and I also thought this one was interesting. I won't blab on it, but I always thought it was like weirdly. I'm like, are you trying to make a random societal reference too? So what had happened is there was the algorithm, and that's what they find at the layer, and the algorithm was destined to see essentially who was predisposed to being coming loyal to Hydra,
Mm-hmm.
and the people who are predisposed to being loyal to Hydra would be marked safe from the helicarriers, and the helicarriers were about to target every single person who wasn't and kill them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he jumps from ship to ship too, and he has to go in that last one because they try to shut the ships down remotely, but it was like too late on that one for some reason.
Yeah.
Because, whatever, time passed or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, and it's a superhero movie. You just gotta go take it down.
Stakes.
I don't know. From what I remember, I left the theater. I was going like, yeah, that was pretty mid, and I've never watched it all the way through since. Again, I watched it a year and a half ago, the first half of it, because I remember you and many other people saying, "Oh, this movie's so good," and just thinking like, yes, like the first half was good. Maybe I needed to finish the second half, but I just didn't really feel an inclination to do so. And
Okay.
yeah, sorry, Paul. I know you love the movie.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Uh,
I'll keep it, and I'll do my thing with it. I'll have my own special time with
but
it.
again, I add it to the whole thing where it's if you were to go, hey, we should watch this movie, I'd be like, hell yeah, I want to because I've seen it once and a half, 1.5 times. So like, let's watch it again because I want to see it all the way through. And I feel like if I watched it with you, I maybe would gain a bigger appreciation for it.
I appreciate that. You know what? Your opinion's valid. I'll say that. Can't wait for these next ones, though.
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I keep getting the weird ones. I don't know. I feel like you've got some cool ones like back to back. Um, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't for um for keeping time. I guess I think I'm gonna put this at a C tier above Iron Man 2.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to like it was good. It was enjoyable. Wait, I'm trying to remember everything that happened. This is the one where they save her mom, right? And they're like
Yes,
fighting
yes,
like the
yes,
ghost,
yes.
the ghost kid.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
Now that I think about it, this movie was pretty bad.
I was gonna be like, can't wait for my turn. Anyway.
Yeah, I think I might move this to a D tier. Now that I think about it.
Yeah.
I think I love Paul Rudd. I think he's
yeah.
a great actor. I loved him in Civil War when he was brought in. So I think this was his next movie after Civil War because like he wasn't in Infinity War. Everybody was kind of like, where was he? But I was excited for this movie mostly because I was pleasantly surprised by the first Ant-Man. I think like the first Ant-Man I went in with zero expectations. I really liked it. The second Ant-Man, it was kind of like, oh, we just watched Infinity War. Let's watch this movie. And I think that's the big reason it did well at box office because it like everyone thought it would give them answers, which it gave you a minute clip at the end of the movie.
Fact.
Um,
Triggered.
but like now that I think about it, that's like the main reason I went and saw this in theaters because I was so like amped up off of Infinity War. But I don't really have much else to say. Like I think it was kind of cheesy. I think it was. I like Paul Rudd. I liked Evangeline Lilly. I think she's a good actress, but I wasn't a huge fan of the Wasp. I kind of liked it being like just Ant-Man. But the Wasp is cool too. Like it's fine. Um, I like the dad. I can't remember that actor's name. He's famous.
Yeah, I can't either, but he's awesome.
Michael something maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it might come to me.
Yeah, he was a really good actor. It was good.
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas, yeah, and then Michelle Pfeiffer was the mom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was cool. Like it just like something didn't click, and then I think the villain was really dumb. Like from what I remember, the villain was really dumb, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense from what I remember. You've watched it more recently than I have, so I will let you take the reins.
Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna speed run this one. This is fat D tier. Villain's stupid. Parts of the movie are forgettable. Tried to be Ant-Man 1, but it's not Ant-Man 1. That might not be a fair critique, but like, so there are two movies on this list that I feel like I liked it when there are certain Marvel movies that don't take themselves seriously and it works to their advantage. This is one that does that and it does not balance it well.
Yeah.
Like the humor is off-putting. Like it's not off-putting. Sorry, it's out of place sometimes, like and unnecessary. The villain is dumb. I think they tried to give too much to the Wasp too soon, and they didn't do it in the right way. Because like she's great in the movies, like especially in Ant-Man 1. But I just feel like they brought Wasp in and they kind of like made the whole conflict between them like weird. Um, I don't know. I just don't really like it. Again, I'm gonna come back to it again. I think the villain's dumb,
Oh,
and
Michael
it's not.
Pena.
It
I really
Michael
like
Pena
his
is
character.
awesome. Oh
Yeah.
my god, he's so great. And honestly, the whole little squad is cute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
All
I
of
think
Paul Rudd's
maybe
squad.
this isn't fair, but I wanted it to be like continue over the good things from Ant Man, and it didn't. Aside from the squad,
Yeah.
and I mean the tech's kind of cool, and I like that he gets big. But again, I wouldn't watch this by choice pretty much ever. So
Mm-hmm.
D tier. All right, Thor Ragnarok. This baby's an S tier. This is one of my S tier movies. So fun.
Yes.
And I'm going to say the exact same thing I just said for the last movie, but it's going to work the opposite way. It's not Thor 1 or 2, and that is a good thing.
Yeah.
It is insanely fun. They revived and reinvented Thor as a character,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked amazingly. The supporting characters they bring in the movie are fun, and also when there's humor, it never feels to go on like necessarily long. I feel like they mix it up some too, and they just keep it lighthearted in the movie. Also, it has serious implications, obviously, for the MCU. Mjolnir is destroyed, so you're like, what the heck? The fight scene at the end is epic as hell. In a way, they win and lose,
Yeah, that is cool.
which is very interesting. But it also shows maturity from Thor, who is not a mature character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he does not think ever, and he gets himself into a lot of situations that were unnecessary. But in this movie, I feel like, there's a big theme of sacrifice, I feel like, in the MCU, and like this is the movie where he made like a sacrifice, and that was a hard decision. With him kind of being like, we got to save everybody. But then what's interesting at the end is that message that I really, really appreciate is them being like, it's not about the planet. It's like Asgard is the
Oh,
people.
Asgard, yeah.
Like that's
Asgard is the people,
awesome. And
not a
then
place.
also with the message of like, I'm Thor, and that's what brings me power, not Mjolnir. Like I really vibe with those.
Yeah,
Um,
Mjolnir was just a way to
yeah,
like
and
cipher his
Hela's pretty
power.
cool as a
Yeah.
character.
Oh, and she's just
Him,
like murking all the Asgardians.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was sick.
What Loki being in the movie, his role was also cool. I really like to see the teamwork and everything. Um, and then obviously bringing in Hulk, like that was. This is one of the movies again, and there's a couple of them where it's like mini team ups, except for the fact that I guess this wouldn't really be a mini team up. It's a lot of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and they made that one work really well.
Yeah.
And so, just in general, I have like barely anything bad I could say about the movie. Really, really enjoy it, and we'll pretty much watch it whenever. It's so fun.
Yeah. This is um I guess I'll just go right after you. I feel pretty much the exact same way. I would also put an S tier. I would put it. I'd put it above Avengers. I think.
Mm,
Below Infinity War, obviously above Avengers. Um, I think I went in with no expectations for this movie. I think I knew it was the second to last movie before Infinity War, right? This is the movie that came out right before Infinity War.
yes, I think so.
Yeah, because like the end,
Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel came out before Endgame. I thought.
Oh no, dang. Yeah, you're right. What the heck? Yeah, I think this is the one right before. Yes, it's definitely the one right before Infinity War. That's why it starts the way it does, I think.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, we forgot Infinity War when Heimdall dies. That's really really depressing to me.
Yeah, I love Heimdall. Yeah.
Yeah, he was so sick in this movie too.
Yep.
And then you meet Valkyrie, Tessa Thompson. She's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Goldblum's character was so random but funny. Um, yeah, I don't know. This movie was great. I think, again, just went in with no expectations. Like I was expecting Thor 1 or 2 again, and I was like, oh, I just have to watch this, and I loved it. Like I remember leaving the theater just like grinning cheek to cheek. Like that's when I found out of who Taika Waititi was, and like as a director, and I just wanted to watch more of his stuff. I loved Korg. Oh my gosh, I loved Korg. Yeah, it was fun, and it was fun, but it had dark parts with like Hella, and like she brought back the dog, and then like also it was like depressing with like his dad
Mm-hmm.
passing away, and like him and Loki like teaming up again. I don't know. It's just a solid movie.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Love it.
Moving on, we got the next major movie, which is now the number one movie of all time, right? Block or
Yeah, yeah.
ticket
Still,
tickets wise. This might be a hot take. I'm not sure. I think Infinite or Endgame is high A, low B tier for me. I think it's good. I think it's really good. I think it's the end of an amazing journey of however many movies this is. I loved Endgame. I've only ever watched it all the way through once, and I think that goes to show how much I enjoyed the movie versus Infinity War, which I've seen like 3 or 4 times now. Like, I enjoyed the movie a lot. I think time travel is always very kind of
iffy.
icky.
Yeah, yeah,
It's hard to execute well. I think they do a decent job at it. I think it's really funny because at one point somebody, I don't remember if it was Ant Man, but he was like, "Why don't we just go back in time to baby Thanos and just kind of, Or no, no,
yeah,
Don Cheadle. Don Cheadle's War Machine. He makes that, and then
yeah,
like they literally just go, "That's not how time machine works," or "That's not how time travel works," and then they just move on, and
yeah.
you're just kind of like, "Oh, yeah, that makes sense," but like it doesn't based on all the other time travel movies you watch and see, and I don't know. I just the fact that they did time travel kind of it's okay. I think the fight at the end is the best part of the movie.
Oh yeah,
I think that part is sick. I think it's really cool. I think there are some really cheesy parts of it that I didn't enjoy,
yeah. I know what you're
but
gonna.
for the most part it was sick. Like when Wanda gets pissed off at Thanos and he's like, "I don't
Oh
even
yeah,
know who you are." She's like, "You will. You took everything from me." And she just like starts crushing him. Like that was sick. That was one of
yep,
my favorite scenes. I think when Captain Marvel comes in, it's kind of a cool moment, and like
yep,
all the
yep.
ships start firing at her because like they're about to lose. Um, like all of that's really sick. Um, um, I think the
Yeah,
whole story of how Thanos gets there, though, like from his like doesn't he like capture Nebula or something?
yeah,
Or like
yeah.
Nebulas, the two
Oh,
Nebulas have like a connection, and because of that, he's able to get out one Nebula's memories, and then
yeah.
they were able to time travel themselves. Like again, I haven't seen like I've seen the final fight like a few times. I haven't seen the rest of the movie, and that's just because of the time travel stuff. But yeah, it's not my. It's a good movie. I love this movie. I will watch it again for sure one day. It's just I haven't really had a great inclination to do so anytime recently.
Yeah. Um. So, I mean, I'm pretty much in the same vein. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in B tier.
Oh wow,
Yeah, it's
below Captain America.
yeah, yeah. But here's why. I just like generally I'll put it above Captain America. Good point. Good point.
All right,
I'll
I'll put.
probably put it. I'll probably put it above Black Panther too. Yeah, yeah. No,
Okay.
I didn't think about that part when I put it in. Um, it's a second half movie. Um, the first part of the movie, I think, is still just so weird to me. So it starts, it holds a lot of weight that I think holds up when you see it for the first time. So with Tony in space
Mhm.
and like him saying all that, and then him looking like he was gonna die, and then Captain Marvel coming in and blah 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 blah. Like I think the first time you watch that, you're like, wow, but then the second time it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like I don't think for a second you like really it. Part of me is like, I don't think I ever really believed that he was gonna die. So like, why did they set it up that way?
Yeah.
And then also, it just seems so weird. Like they all get back, they talk for 5 minutes, like, damn it, let's go get Thanos. And then they're like, da 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 da, and then they go kill him, and then it doesn't do anything, and then they go through the like how society is and all that. The beginning of the movie just seems really slow and also all over the place. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Um, and then I like, so I really like when they start time traveling, even when they're messing with it, trying to figure it out before they go.
It's
Like,
fun.
like
Like don't get
that's
me
when
wrong,
it
it's
starts
fun.
getting good. Yeah, it's entertaining. However, I have so many nitpicky things from there on out. Number one, they make up their own time travel rules. I hate time travel movies for that reason.
Mhm.
Um, and then two, they make up a rule within time travel, which no, maybe it's still a time travel rule. The Nebula thing, so annoying. That is such a reach.
Yeah.
Of him being like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, okay, sure, yeah. And then also, um,
And now Gamora's there in the future, so she's back
Yeah.
alive, which means that like that death meant nothing.
Well, and then also and then there's a few other things. So and them randomly. Maybe this is like a shout out to continuity or something, and maybe I'm just too stupid to get it. But when they go to get, I'm sorry, what base is it? You know what I'm talking about.
The Avengers Center, like where
No, no,
they're
no.
at.
They travel back. It's just Tony and Steve, and they
Oh,
get
like the Shield headquarters.
yeah.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
in whatever year that also
And
was
they get
just
the
such.
Tesseract from there instead, or
Yeah, that
something.
was such a reach to me too. Like I get that they had to throw a hurdle in the plan. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Aside from, I'd say the other hurdle being that Black Widow had to die. There
Oh, I
had to be
forgot she dies in
some.
that movie. For some reason, I was thinking,
Yeah,
yeah, she died in Infinity War, but no, yeah, she dies in that
yeah,
movie.
and I know that like again, there had to be some sort of. It couldn't just all work out smoothly, but like that just seemed like such a reach that in that moment they'd be like, "Oh, you know what I just realized? Do you remember a time when this would also work? Yeah, we're gonna go there right now. Yeah, okay. No,
Yeah, instead of hey, we could have done this from the start, instead of all going to New
right.
York.
So I don't know. That just seems stupid. Again, like they just kind of pulled it out of nowhere. Not stupid. I guess technically it's supposed to be seen as smart, but I'm just like that's a reach. The Nebula thing's a reach.
Yeah.
Um, the way that they're like, oh, he also has to go back and put all the stones back. Like that's just a random rule too. That I feel like they condition that they just kind of made up. But
Yeah,
okay,
and he just goes back to yeah.
yeah. I
Hmm.
don't really like that ending, and I love the character. Obviously, I'm like
Yeah,
that was
it didn't
kind of
feel
dumb.
like a good ending for Cap.
Legit, yeah.
Yeah,
And then um
but I
I
love.
actually get kind of I know that there's I think a deleted scene where they address this more. They don't do anything for like Black Widow dying.
Oh yeah, there's a deleted scene where they do like a little funeral, right?
Right, but like why'd you cut that?
Yeah.
It just seems really weird. Like and Tony needed I got that get all the attention and then they also bring it up. Like they're like sad and there's like a small group of them, but like bruh, I don't know. That just seemed really dumb too.
Or
So
like at the end with Tony's funeral, why didn't they do a little Black Widow thing there too?
yeah, it just that seems not consistent. That's the problem I have with the movie. There's a lot of inconsistencies in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that last thing is my rationale typically is like it's hard for me to. mm, I don't know. I kind of want to mix around the B tier things. I don't know where they would sit right now, so I'm just going to leave them how they are. But I will
We
pretty
can
much
do a
only.
reevaluation at the end.
I'll really only fire this one up after I've watched Infinity War. Not necessarily in a row. That's too much. But
I
like if
want to
I
watch
watch it
six
earlier in the
hours.
week, I'll be like, oh yeah, let's watch Endgame later. I will
Yeah.
never probably be like, oh, but I'll watch Infinity War basically whenever.
Yeah. Infinity
But
War is just good background too.
Endgame, it's a second half movie. That's
Yeah.
how I feel.
And it's just the fight. Like the fight's sick,
And the fight is sick.
and
The
that's
fight,
Infinity War.
it's incredible though. Honestly,
But
yeah.
again,
Infinity War is that and more. So
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say it again, and everybody should agree with me on this. But using the hammer, sick. Cap with the hammer,
Oh
like we'll
yeah,
go. That should go down like decades from now as an iconic moment in cinema.
it was. That was probably the best part of the movie.
Oh, like yeah, and
But oh,
I know the meme is.
besides the part where Sam goes on your left, Cap, and they all
Oh
come
yeah,
in, like that shivers. Like that's sick.
that
All
on
that's
your
sick.
left, the hammer on your left, and that Tony saying "I am Iron Man." Like that, those three things, incredible, perfect,
Oh
wonderful.
hey Paul.
Yes.
Hey, I love you 3000.
Oh, okay, that's pretty good too. So that's I actually hadn't thought about that. I also do want to give a quick shout out to when they talk about like the Mobius strip. When he's like doing the thing, I had like learned about that in math, and I thought that was cool, and it kind of brought some legitimacy, even though they made up all the time travel shit in general. So anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I'm gonna put this B tier, but after all of them, my quick things on this are I like the Guardians movies a lot. However, I feel like this is similar to Ant-Man and the Wasp. However, this is way better than that movie. In the fact that I feel like they tried to replicate a lot of the stuff from the first one, and they didn't do it well enough.
I agree.
I like some of the like conflict that comes with building Peter's character a little bit more. I really love like Yondu, and I like the
Oh,
end, and
yeah.
like such a great character. Like, and it's a fun movie, but there is humor in it that was so unnecessary, and I think takes away from the movie.
Yeah, it kind
Um,
of. Yeah, I'll touch on it when I go.
yeah, yeah, and so I mean, I like. I also do. I mean, Mantis. I don't like Mantis in this movie. I'm gonna be honest.
Hmm.
Like, I guess this is the movie that Mantis comes in general, but I don't like Mantis. Um, do love Yondu. Love the Ravagers, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They
Yeah.
do a good job.
Love that. Ego is a decent character. I don't actually think he's that high on my villain list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm like,
But
I'm trying to hold back.
yeah, no, I got you. I felt that way for some of them. But it's a fun movie. Again, I'll say that like 1,000 more times.
Yeah.
I can rewatch it, but it's definitely not the first one. I'll put it in B tier, and after those movies, it's probably gonna stay there.
All right.
You're wrong.
Back. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see. Um. Oh, whoops! I clicked on the wrong screen. Here we go. I would also agree it is low B, high C for me. I'd probably stick low B because I have seen it multiple times now and I enjoy it. It's still really good music. Like, say what you want about the Guardians movies. I mean, I hope you won't say anything bad because I think both of them are good movies.
Oh,
Uh,
wait and see. No, I'm just kidding.
but like the music is amazing. I think the music,
Oh, yeah.
like soundtracks of a movie besides the villain, at least in
And
those
they're
types
so
of movies.
colorful. I actually
Yeah,
really like that. And Ragnarok.
yeah, yeah. Like the music's just awesome. Like the music's awesome. Music can make or break a movie, I think. But I agree
Mhm.
with you. The villain Ego, I didn't like him. I didn't think he was a great villain. I thought maybe if you're a comic book person, you might love Ego or whatever. But I just it did nothing for me. I didn't really like it. I liked the Nebula Gamora rivalry kind of,
Mhm. Mhm.
but at the same time, I hated it. I kind of go back and forth on that.
Mhm.
It's weird. I thought it was kind of random in this movie. Like it almost felt like the Nebula Gamora stuff made more sense in like Infinity War and
Yeah.
Endgame. In this movie, it just kind of felt out of like when there's like one scene where Gamora's just like holding the cannon from like a spaceship as it's firing at Nebula. Do you remember that scene?
Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I was just like, what the hell's going on right now? Like, and they're just like siblings having a fight, and like I understand they're doing things, and that's just what they are, and like they were raised that way. But I was just like, is this really happening right now? While like Ego's about to like take over the universe
Right.
or
Get it
whatever.
together. Come on.
Yeah, and then I will say a scene that I loved, and I think they did it pretty well with. They did well with Baby Groot. I think Baby Groot was cute
Yeah.
and well done. I love the scene where Yondu, Rocket, and Baby Groot team up on the ship with the um with the whistling and the little arrow.
Yeah.
That scene is so good. And Taserface, ugh, that
Oh,
is
yeah. Tasers.
that part is so funny, and I really enjoyed that part of the movie. Like that's a very memorable, and it's also playing come a little bit closer. Like it's just great music, great scenes, like all of that was just so good. And then like when they overthrow Yondu, and like they're just like kicking out all of his supporters into space, like that's like dark. That was a really dark like middle part of that movie. But like the rest of it, it was just kind of mid. And like Rocket stealing the batteries so that like the
Yeah,
what you
yeah.
would call it people like chase after them, and then it's gonna be cool because Adam Warlock's gonna be in the next movie. But like
Yep, yep.
still like that whole scene was dumb, and then like Quill and Rocket can't like get over their own egos to who flies the ship through the asteroid field. Like that part was just dumb to me. So like I don't know. It was a good movie. If you said, "Hey, let's watch Guardians 2," I wouldn't say no. If we're going off that
Yeah.
rule, so that's what I'll say about Guardians 2. Um, I guess to kind of continue along the lines, we'll go into Thor 1, which I think I've only also seen once when it originally came out. I think I've seen clips from it. I'm gonna put it in the D tier, but I'm gonna put it above Ant-Man and the Wasp just because I think it does have some funny moments and introduces us to some cool characters. I don't remember what the machine's called, but the one that Odin or whoever sends down to like fight Thor with like
Yeah, the like destroyer or whatever.
yeah, I think that's kind of sick, and like Thor realizing he's worthy and like coming up and like going through that whole kind of like internal struggle is kind of cool, and how he's like kind of a brat at the beginning. Like I enjoy that, and then like you're introduced to Loki and Heimdall. Um, like it's cool characters. You meet cool characters. That's pretty much it. I think. Like that's kind of it.
All right. So for Thor, I'm honestly putting in the same spot anyway. I think some of the individual characters have good performances. Really like Heimdall. I think Loki actually like just kills it in
Yeah,
that
I think.
movie.
Well, it's
Um,
cool too because this was like Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth's like breakout roles,
yeah, that's true.
and
They've
they
been
both
in
crushed it.
nothing like this caliber, I guess, and
Yeah.
it definitely changed the trajectory of their careers. I do think a lot of the movies kind of forgettable. I do like that they sprinkle Hawkeye in there,
Oh, I
so
forgot
that's
about
kind of
that. That's true.
yeah, and like some of the Shield esque stuff. But I think the plot is like the movie kind of drags. Um, it's just not my favorite thing. I also feel like there was opportunities for it to be funnier
Mm-hmm.
because like he has like a few funny quips and stuff on Earth of him being like, "Oh, what is this?" Like
I
sort of
like this
stuff.
beer. Another.
Right, right. Like that's iconic and stands out. But I feel like they
Yeah.
could have done like a little more. And maybe that's me just saying that because like obviously Ragnarok turned him into like funny. And maybe I'm like, he could have been doing this the whole time. And instead they were trying to low key make him like serious and broody, right?
Yeah.
But
He was like a brat
it just
almost in
wasn't
this movie.
fitting. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that really
Like whiny.
frustrated me and annoyed me because I feel like he was always getting good at. You look at his two parents, which are great characters, and I feel like they were always giving him good advice, and like basically Thor is the nut in a nutshell is like no, like, and you're like, dude, you're doing this to yourself. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
literally. And obviously he learns from his lessons. That's like a big part of the movie, and then because like his worthiness X Y Z. But just not a movie I would really ever care to watch by choice.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of in the
and
mood where it's like I want
like
to watch it again
I
because
watched
I
it like
haven't seen
3
it.
weeks ago. So
You did?
yeah, so
That's funny.
Doctor Strange, C tier above Iron Man 2. This might be I might get shade for this, but I fell asleep the first time I watched the movie. Now, granted, it was at night and I was really tired, so I'm not going to completely blame the movie. I think the movie is really cool, like visually, different concepts and stuff like that. I'm just not the biggest fan of the character. Uh, the personality is what it is. I know it's kind of a movie about him finding humility. Um, I do think it's funny at the end. Like I think my peak.
Dormammu?
Thank you. That's peak of the movie, though. It's how he handles that. It's very smart, and then also like it's humorous.
Yeah.
Um, and also, I do want to give a lot of credit to the character like development in that moment. Is he was basically willing to be like, "I'll do this forever." Like that's a sacrificial moment,
Mm-hmm.
and like that is very different from the character at the beginning of the movie. So I'm not saying the movie's bad. However, again, I think it loses its appeal. Like you watch it once or maybe twice, and then you're like, "I'm kind of good." Like I don't know. I just feel like
Interesting.
yeah, it's just not my thing.
Yeah.
But that's probably just personal style, and that's really all I have to say about it. He's cool, but I think honestly, Doctor Strange is cooler in an Infinity War than, and maybe that's not fair, but I'm gonna say it anyway. He's cooler in Infinity War, and I think in his own movie, it's kind of like, eh.
I will say he kind of jumps a lot.
He power
Um,
scales up. So that's not
yeah.
super fair. I agree, but
Like he's really cool. Like in his fight versus Thanos is sick in Infinity War versus how he's fighting in his own movie.
I also just think I don't. I'm gonna pass it to you after this. I think I'll recognize this. I truly think I have somewhat of a bias against the character because he does not strike me as a leader, really.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if that's like dumb. I
You
know
like
the movies aren't
leaders?
necessarily about being a leader. Well, because like I feel like that's the strength of the Avengers movies is like those people individually work together really well, but they have each other's backs. And I feel like Doctor Strange, and again, that's probably part of trying to be his character. But even people who are like, yeah, Tony's selfish. Yeah, maybe externally he seems selfish, but he's really not. Like he has a good heart. And
Yeah.
like Doctor Strange like sort of has flashes of that, but also like
Yeah, because he kind of
it's
becomes
just
like,
not
oh,
compelling to me. I don't know.
he's like, then I have to protect the time stone at all times. Like,
Yeah,
or,
he's just not compelling to me, and I'll leave it at that.
um, hmm. You brought up some valid points. Um, I've only seen this movie once. And it was during the phase when I feel like there was a lot of movies coming out and I didn't see all of them in theaters. There were two movies on this list I didn't see in theaters, and that was this one and Ant-Man.
Mm.
That's because at the time I don't think I truly understood how big the universe was getting and how
Oh
they
yeah.
like were combining everything. So I watched this later, kind of the same situation with Ant-Man with no expectations whatsoever, and I really enjoyed it. Like I really enjoyed Doctor Strange. I thought the visuals were amazing. I thought everything you kind of said about his character, where he was like really selfish from the start, and then he goes on to like pretty much even give up his love interest to like be this like the Sanctum protector. I can't think of his name. Supreme Sorcerer, Emperor,
Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah.
Sorcerer Supreme. Yeah, and like I don't know, I just thought that was really cool. I think the time stone was interesting and like how he did time travel with the time stone was cool enough. I also like I think I have a bias for Doctor Strange's character after the What If series.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think the
'Cause
What If
he's
episode,
baller.
huh?
Sorry, he's a baller in that. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
like that is an amazing episode. Like if you haven't seen that, go watch What If. Just watch that episode. It's so good. I've watched it like two or three times
That
now.
one hurts though. I'm not gonna lie.
It's painful. Yeah, it's hard to watch, but like because of it, it also gave me big expectations for Doctor Strange 2, which was a different kind of disappointment. But anyways, I'd honestly put Doctor Strange as an A tier. I'd put it below Endgame for me. Um, so I in my A tier I have Endgame and Doctor Strange. I enjoyed it. I think the visuals were really good. I think I went in with low expectations and I really enjoyed the movie. I watched the movie and remember thinking, "Wow, I wish I saw this on the big screen." Because I think that would have been really cool. It sounded like you said you fell asleep. Did you watch it in theaters?
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't necessarily want to equate it all to the movie, but I was like throwing that out there because I'm not gonna say the movie doesn't deserve any of it.
Yeah.
So, but also I saw it on a Friday night. That was like in a very busy semester, and I also think my body just relaxed and was like, you know,
That's funny.
all right.
Hey, I just started streaming my screen too, so you can see my as it
Oh, nice,
breaks
nice.
out.
I like
All right. So yeah, after Doctor Strange, we move into Iron Man. Um, I'm up, right? It's still me.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the first Iron Man movie. I think we've done the three Phase One introductory movies. This is by
Mm-hmm.
far the best one, in my opinion. I absolutely love the humor. I love when he gets humbled when he's in the cave and it's his own technology being used against him. I love his relationship with Jensen and how he makes a promise with him and like that he's going to do better. And then when he gets out, I love his attitude. I love the humor. I love so much of this movie. It's nostalgic for me. This was one of my sick movies as a kid. Like I would stay home from school and I'd watch this movie. I just absolutely loved it. Like, oh, it's so good when he's like learning how to use the suit for the first time and he like falls on his cars and his machines are blowing him out with the fire extinguisher. I think Obadiah is a great villain. Like when your best friend is like secretly backstabbing you. I feel like it was just well done. It was really well done, and I think the ending's cool when he's like, "How do you solve the freeze problem or whatever?" And he's like, "What freeze problem?" And then he falls.
Yep.
Like it's just like I don't know. It's so well done to me. I really enjoy this movie, and for nostalgic reasons alone, it's an S tier for me. Like I feel like that might be a hot take. Some people may not like the Iron Man movie that much. It's below Avengers for me, but I absolutely love this movie.
See what's insane, and I'm going to talk about it a lot less, but this is probably this is so high up there that I need this to go right there. I can't do this. Thank you. I would actually put this as my
Oh
number one right
wow,
now. I
wow.
think the movie flows so seamlessly for all the reasons you said. It is so fun. The plot's great. The moment that I every time I'm like, dang, is when he pulls out his heart, like Obadiah, like when he's on the
Oh
couch and
yeah.
he's like,
Oh, that's so dark.
yeah, that's like out of nowhere. Too, not out of nowhere. Like obviously it makes sense in the plot, but
Hmm.
the movie itself's been hasn't had that tone throughout, and then that happens, and then like legitimately when he goes into the final fight, like he is not at full power either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so like that's
He's
a
not
time
OP
where
like most superheroes are in their
right,
movie.
and he still uses his power, but he definitely like outwits the enemy. Um, I have nothing bad really to say about the movie. I also don't. I think the pacing is good. The movie does not run too long, and I know a lot of these get long after a while. And they don't get me wrong, even the long ones, like some of them are good. They do good with it, but the runtime's great. The plot's great. Music's great. Acting is amazing. I like everything about it. I could watch this every day, pretty much. So, Age of Ultron. I'm gonna put this above Doctor Strange. I'm gonna put it in C tier. It's a weird movie. I don't really know what else I could say about it. I think I get kind of bummed. Ultron is sick in the movie, but
Yeah.
also like kind of lame. Like,
Yeah.
um,
James Spader kills it though.
it makes it. Oh yeah, incredible. I loved the performance, and then also like it seems inconsistent to me. So like he almost seems unstoppable, but then like they almost seem to beat him in my opinion like too easily.
Hmm.
I don't know. I also love the scene at the end with it when it's him and Vision. That scene's just like really, would you say to describe the run scene earlier like quaint or something? Like when they're just Jay chilling, talking in the forest, like before
Yeah.
it's all over. That scene's really just hits different for me. I
Yeah.
don't know. The twins are kind of random,
Hmm.
to be honest. I don't really like that. Obviously, Wanda becomes a more important character, and Quicksilver doesn't even make it out of the movie. But
Which is dumb given.
right, so it just seems not. I didn't think that was a good move. I don't know, or they didn't do a good job with it. Maybe that's a better one.
Yeah.
And I like the beginning of the movie, how you just jump into it, sort of though, and like it's all of them. Again, I like some team coordination. That's like a great scene to exhibit some of that. They're communicating well. They're firing all cylinders. They're taking on the crap. Blah 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 blah. However, you'll hear me say this about one other movie, and it'll be kind of obvious. I don't like that. So, Avengers is great because they don't really know each other, but they figure it out,
Hmm.
right? And I know I said that that's part of it. Is like it was weird, but like that's the point of the movie. And then the beginning of Age of Ultron is great because they're literally communicating, acting as one, working well. Big part of the conflict in this movie is because they're not communicating well. And I feel like that's what leads to like Ultron. Like Tony's kind of like, no, I'm gonna do this anyway.
Yeah.
With obviously Banner. Like it doesn't. That's not consistent to me. Like I feel like team decisions should be team decisions, and I know that's part of the character thing. So I'm not saying it's not legit, but that really bothers me. I don't like how you're gonna start a movie by showing everybody kind of working as a cohesive unit, and then like mid movie them kind of being like, yeah, no.
Hmm.
Also, no, that's it. I think I'll leave it at that. I think the movie's a little long, if I'm being honest too. Um, but I put it at C. Again, I think it's fun. That's actually one I would watch every so often, but it's not as fun to me as like Guardians 2, so I put it right below. And then also it's just like I feel like everything I'll ever need to remember from it, I already remember, so I don't even feel like I would go to watch it again to like look for stuff.
Yeah.
So, but Ultron is a great villain. He's high up. As
Yeah.
far as like the
I
performance and
yeah.
stuff goes.
I pretty much agree with everything you say. I'd probably put it in the exact same spot, although I just don't have Doctor Strange there. It's it's below Guardians, above Iron Man 2. Like I think it's I don't know, kind of the same thing. Something that really bothered me when this movie opened is that at the end of Thor: Dark World, they destroy the ability to
Ether.
travel to the
Oh no
world,
no the Bifrost. Yeah
the
yeah.
Bifrost. And immediately when this movie starts, Thor is there with no
Oh
explanation.
yeah
No
yeah
explanation. They never really explain it, as far as I remember.
yeah.
Um, and that really bothered me. Just like for continuity's sake, did somebody miss something from Thor 2? Like, what happened there? The other thing that really bothered me, we already kind of touched on it, was Quicksilver's death. That was beyond dumb. Um, I think, uh, yeah. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. It does have some really cool scenes. I like the opening scene. I like when they're all hanging out trying to pull the hammer. I think that's funny and a little foreshadowy. Um, or lift the hammer. I love the Hulkbuster versus the Hulk fight. I think that's pretty
That.
cool.
Oh yeah. No, that's great.
I think the whole Sokovia fight is both cool and dumb. Like the whole way
Yeah.
that they win and like flatten the city and all that jazz, like that's beyond dumb.
It goes way too long. I know it's not my turn. I actually don't like the part where Hawkeye like inspires Wanda.
Oh, like in the little room, real quick.
Yeah, maybe actually I kind of like the part. I guess maybe I'm focusing on the wrong part. Maybe it's about him forgiving her,
Yeah,
and I can kind of get behind that. But when he was like, "Yeah, you're an Avenger now," and they run out and just like start effing stuff up, I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever."
yeah. I did enjoy the scene where like she's brainwashing everybody and he just electrocutes her. He's like, "Yeah, I've done brainwash
Yeah,
before, not my
yeah,
thing."
yeah.
Like it does have good moments, and
It does. It does.
I will say, I mean, all these movies have good moments.
Right.
So,
Except honestly, except Hulk, but
all right. Moving on to the next movie. It's me, right?
yeah.
All right. Dang, we got two really good ones back to back. A little spoiler, but I love Guardians, and this is my favorite movie in the MCU. Um, I It is number one. It's above Infinity War for me. I think it is so well done. I went in with zero expectations and went out left the movie just so unbelievably happy. I had no idea who the Guardians were. Like it's not that I had low
Same.
expectations. Like when
Same.
I went for Ragnarok, I went in with no expectations because I had no idea what the movie was going to be about. And I absolutely loved it. I watched this movie on like a Thursday or something, and then because I remember I watched it in Wilmington when we went to college, and then when I
Mm.
came home, I convinced my family to go see it again because that's how much I love the movie. Which is rare that I see movies in theaters multiple times.
Mm.
Yeah, I absolutely love this movie. Um, I think the only other movie that I've seen that many times in theaters is also the Avengers movie, and then No Way Home. I also love No Way Home. But yeah, Guardians soundtrack amazing, characters amazing. Like I was a big Parks and Rec fan at the time, so seeing Chris Pratt in this role was awesome. I think all the actors do an amazing job. Like Bradley Cooper as Rocket. Like what? Who knew he was Rocket? Like I had no idea that was him until the credits. Vin Diesel as Groot. Dave Batista, like Drax's character was so funny. Like it was just unbelievable movie. I love this movie so much.
We actually share the same favorite movie. So, mainly, and I could also, I know I said I could watch Iron Man every day. That's very true. And I really have no flaws with it. The difference between this, Guardians is just so much more fun still. In fact, Guardians, I would argue, changed. Well, everybody would credit, and I agree with this still, that without the success of Iron Man shaped the whole thing, right? I think we
Mm-hmm.
can't argue with that. However, Guardians, I literally changed the meta of the movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like when that came out, I firmly believe that without Guardians, you wouldn't have the tone that you get in Spider-Man, Ragnarok, Infinity War, like any of the humor, like kind of more playful, lighthearted stuff that's still serious and still has like
100%.
yeah, I think that shaped the like I legitimately I cannot read minds, but think that after this movie some team sat down that is on like the production or the creativity or whatever, and they're like, we got to start changing some stuff up to like mimic that more.
Mm-hmm.
I think Guardians shaped like the rest of it from there.
I also love it because it's not on Earth.
It's
Like
not.
it's
That's true.
it's
That's
just like a
true.
standalone movie
It's
that like
cosmic.
you can
Yeah,
just
yeah.
enjoy and like not think like, oh, I wonder where Iron Man is since like Hydra's taking over Shield.
And I
You're
would say that that's hard to do
mm-hmm.
because number one, not only is it like in the MCU, yeah, there's all that stuff that's going on that we've already been used to. I also didn't know anything about the Guardians at all, and I thought the trailer was good, but like not like any of like there are trailers in here that I would consider incredible,
Yeah.
and I would not put it on that level too. But like it was good. I was like enough to be like I don't know what this is about to be about, but like we'll see. Um, and shoot, I was gonna say something else. Oh, the other thing with it being in space is like when you think about it, half of these things have to be like sci-fi, conglomerates, right? And sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that can be over the top to the point where it's not as enjoyable or like it's just hard to do because superhero movies to an extent, and I feel like MCU specifically, part of the appeal is supposed to be trying to make some of the characters or struggles relatable. And so being in like a space thing, like some of that automatically is more fantastical. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you don't
For
have to agree
sure.
with that, but that's how I
No,
feel.
I agree, and they do a great job of still making it relatable.
Exactly, exactly. Um, and I always felt that they did a really good job of that with Groot. Groot is a talking tree who doesn't really talk.
He says
Yet,
one word,
yes, yet you understand, and
or
when he acts
three
certain
words.
ways, people love it because number one, they understand what's happening. That's insane.
I
Like,
also don't think there's many movies where I was introduced to a character at the beginning of the movie and then almost bawled my eyes out when they
hmm,
died
hmm,
when they only said three words
fact,
consistently over the
fact.
movie.
That's true.
And then they say one extra word and I just start bawling.
It's
Oh.
insane. I think they like this movie won over. I mean, I know there are haters, but this movie truly won over like everyone, low
Mm-hmm.
key, and rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
So fun. I think it's such a unique movie experience in general, even outside of all of these. So, Civil War. Moving along. Also, shout out to us for having the same top.
Yeah.
I never actually knew that. I don't think we've. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
So
your list. I kind of had to pick one, right?
yeah, Civil War. This is tough. So it's an
Yeah.
A. I just don't know if I put it above
Really?
Avengers or not. Yeah, I like the. This is one of my favorite. Hmm. I have a rant about it where I want to criticize parts of it
Okay,
for
go
being
for
stupid. So this is the epitome of the they did not communicate movie, and that really bothers me
it.
because literally, like, and I'll blame everybody. And we had a conversation earlier today or whatever, but every time, so obviously it's the Sokovia Accords are a big point of contention, whatever, whatever. There are like, two or three times when they are having a productive conversation, and then it just goes like someone says something snarky or something happens, and then they just both decide to be children and like not communicate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this legitimately, I feel like the conflict did not need to escalate as far as it did, and it did because the superheroes themselves were not legitimately not the people they are supposed to be. And I don't mean that like the character development makes sense. I'm not arguing that it was written dumb. I just get so annoyed watching the movie when I'm like, I'm sorry, y'all have been through two other Avengers movies at this point and saved the world, and like you can't settle this internal conflict. I don't know. That really bothers me. However, I
Yeah.
do think this movie is the pinnacle of the character development for Captain America, character development for Iron Man, and
Mm.
how, in a way, they've become the opposite of the characters they were when they started. So, like, I would say that Steve starts out, he's like incredibly selfless. He's like, I'm gonna sacrifice, die for others, everybody before me, X, Y, Z. And then when he gets to this, he's like, no, people can't take away our liberties. I mean, it's not just about him, it's about other people or whatever. But I feel like that directly comes from um, second movie, Winter Soldier, because he literally just saw that like something that he thought was supposed to be safe or a good idea, like was completely wrong and it almost screwed over all these people. And he kind of references this in the movie where he's like, well, people with or people always have agendas. or something like that comes out, and that line is always like very telling to me. I was like, ah, see, that speaks Winter Soldier to me.
Mm-hmm.
But then Tony's like, he blames himself for a lot of stuff, and also has all that PTSD, which is evident from this movie and the Iron Man movies. And he's always like, so that's why he's like, I want to put a suit of armor around the world. That's what leads to Ultron. And obviously, he still probably even feels bad about doing that.
Yeah.
And so he's like, look at all this stuff that is my fault, which is not fair, if I'm being honest. Like, it's not all his fault. But I think he blames himself really highly, and he's like, this is my chance to make it right. So in a way, they're both sound. Like, I wouldn't disagree with how either of them feel based on the movies that they've literally experienced already. But they do not communicate that well to each other at all.
Yeah.
And I just think it blows up out of proportion. But the fights are epic. The conflict is highly, like, what did I say, philosophical, but to a point where like it's very motivated on both sides, and I can get behind that. And then also, dang, there's some parts of this movie that just weigh heavy, especially towards the end. Obviously, them fighting is such a big deal. The king, I don't remember his name, of Wakanda being killed, like that's big because you see like what it does to T'Challa.
Was it just like T'Chaka or something?
Yes, thank you. Come on, Paul. That's a big scene, and also that obviously there's so many things in this movie that just have larger picture implications.
Yeah.
And like that's a lot to balance and make happen, and they write it and they do it pretty well. And then obviously like when they see the video and it's finally revealed that was Bucky. I hadn't picked up on that. Maybe I'm dumb.
I didn't expect.
But then I was like, oh my gosh. But then it like makes so much sense. And then when they say the stuff and he's like, stop, he's my friend. Then he's like, I was your friend too. And then when he's like, I really want to like not do this, but he killed my mom. Like,
yeah, oh my god, when
stuff so hard.
When Iron Man says that and he's like, he killed my mom, and then just goes ape shit on them. It was sick.
Like, and then even the point that I think the scene that gets a little less attention, which happens right after this, when Zemo's about to kill himself,
and Black Panther saves
him. That's actually a really cool scene too.
Yeah, because he forgives him, kind of.
Yes, exactly.
No, not forgives him, but he decides that it's like revenge.
No, yeah, he's like, this is not.
Revenge consumed you. I will not let it consume me.
Right,
something
right.
Like that.
He holds himself back, which is still telling. Anyway, all that. This movie's great. It's also very fun. And I know that part of that is because I like action, and this is a very action-y movie. Because it even starts right in the middle of action, and everything like that. And there's a lot of the characters in this movie have a lot of internal conflict, like in general. Like Wanda has it. Obviously, the main two have it. Even Bucky has it. Like you can tell he feels bad, but like he can't take it back. And then you have Black Panther running around adding himself to the mix because he's torn up too, and rightfully so. Like, it's a good movie. It's a lot to balance. I think they do it well. Part of me again still gets really pissed off about the communication part, but I already ranted. I like watching it. It's entertaining.
I don't know what to do. You made very good points, but I think it's still an S tier for me.
Okay.
I don't want to give them. I think. All right, I'm looking at the rest of the movies. It's definitely my last S tier. That's a lot of S tiers to give. I just love this movie. I liked it so much. I agree. They're kind of like children when it comes to why they were fighting in the first place. They just didn't really talk. I also don't really remember it all that well because I think I've seen it twice, maybe 3 times. But like it's been years. Like I think this is another movie I saw twice in theaters. But like Zemo, like is an amazing villain, especially for one that doesn't have any powers, or doesn't have a suit, or doesn't really have anything. His weapon is literally manipulation. I think it was just so well done. And I feel like he's only half the story. Like the Sokovia Accord is like one half, and then he's the other half. So I guess he's not like the full villain. Like if it was just his movie, I feel like it still would have been fine. But then you wouldn't have gotten the full like Civil War aspect.
Do you mind if I interrupt?
Yeah, go for it.
Another part. I'm gonna make a point. I think it's funny that you said I made points, even though you put it in S tier. I you know how I said this is the pinnacle to me of like psychological or philosophical conflict. The other thing in it, the big one for me, is the Bucky part of like he's brainwashed and everything, and so like I feel like you can feel empathy or sympathy, whatever. You can feel bad for him, but also at the same time, like you can't blame Tony because like it's that idea of like if someone's literally insane, are they responsible for their actions? And
Yeah.
like that's another real life conflict that like exists in like legality and stuff like that, but it's put into a movie. I
Yeah.
just think that's sick. So go ahead. I had to say it.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. I and just like the rest of this movie is like I kind of agree with like I don't know. It's kind of like Captain America's like whole like I understand why he was like, oh, like what if they send us somewhere and we shouldn't go, or like what if they don't send us somewhere and we should be there? Like how do we? Because like that was kind of his argument originally, you know?
Well, and his thing was that, and then his thing was like, weren't we created to protect people? And then Tony's thing is like, well, what if we did? He's like, we're clearly not protecting them. Like that's the other thing too.
Yeah, I just yeah that whole thing to get to the point where like they're actively fighting each other
Yeah.
is kind of dumb. Like I admit, it's kind of dumb. But as far as like from a non-judgmental, just enjoying a movie, I loved it. And I think the whole aspect of all these characters again that you love just coming together and like fighting each other, I feel like that's so cool. And then like to bring in
Hmm.
Spider-Man for the first time, like somebody you didn't even expect because they hit him from the trailers so well.
Oh yeah. Oh
Like
yeah.
I just think that's really
Honestly,
cool.
even bringing in Ant Man was fun.
Yeah, Ant Man was super sick too. Like it was just, it was really enjoyable. And then Spider Man was like, "Hey, has anybody seen that really old movie?"
Yeah.
It was just, it was so well done. I don't
Yeah.
know. And then like, oh, and then when War Machine gets knocked out by Vision,
Oh, that's such a heavy part too.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
like this movie, it's just, it's filled with so many like, it's deep. It has action. It has good like almost like heartfelt family moments and like when Hawkeye saves Wanda from the
Mm.
compound or like gets her out and like she takes down Vision and it's just I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I do admit or agree that like it's kind of dumb and a reason why they're fighting in the first place. Like I feel like there may could have been like if it just had the Bucky thing. Like
Yeah.
if it had just been about Bucky from the start, I think it could have been better.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
think that could have been well done. Like if Tony had found out about his parents like earlier, and
Yeah.
like that's why he was like kind of hunting them down, and then
Yeah. And then if they were maybe racing to find him
yeah, like I think that would have been
separately.
cool. I think that would
Yeah.
have been better than the whole like Sokovia Accord, all that jazz.
Yeah.
Um, but I think it's still very well done. Um, yeah, that's all I really have to say.
Nice. Well, you're up again.
Captain Marvel, one of the like I think like we've seen a lot of these movies together, like when it
Yeah.
came out in
I think
theaters.
we've seen a handful of them together. This was
Uh,
definitely one of them.
this was one
So
of them. I did not enjoy this movie.
yeah, I didn't either.
Given we also watched it at like 10 o'clock at night after a very
I
long day, uh,
Universal shout out.
uh, I'm debating where I want to put it. Because, like, it was newer, it had better CGI than some of the older ones, so in that regard, it was good. Captain Marvel's character was kind of dumb. Nick Fury's, like, origin story was almost kind of cool.
Yeah.
I liked Agent Coulson being there as well. I think he was there, right? Was he there?
I don't think so.
Oh, maybe. Alright, sorry.
I don't know.
I think I'm gonna have to put it, I guess, above Ant Man and the Wasp, below Thor. I'm gonna put it in the D tier.
That's hilarious because that's probably where I'm putting it too. So
Yeah,
I'm still thinking on it.
I don't really have much to say about this movie. It's not super memorable. Um, I think I think the coolest part about this movie was like the 180 they did about the scrolls. How you thought the scrolls were going to be the bad guys, end up being the good guys, and they end up saving the scrolls. But now there's going to be the scroll invasion, which is like a whole nother thing. I just think it was well done. That part, like I didn't expect that twist. I thought Brie Larson did a decent job. Um, I like Nick Fury again. I always like Nick Fury. I think Samuel L. Jackson's great. I thought Captain Marvel's friend was kind of dumb with like the daughter. I think
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
I thought that storyline was kind of dumb. Um, but Yeah, I don't. Again, not a super memorable movie. Not a movie I really want to watch again. I've only seen it the one time, and that's kind of it for me.
I mean, honestly, uh, I debated putting it up before Thor. Yeah, I'm probably gonna do that actually. Nah, I can't even really justify that to myself. Because realistically, I have rewatched that recently and would not watch this. I think the acting's fine. I think my biggest beefs are she randomly gets like mastery slash control over her powers out of
Oh yeah,
nowhere.
I hated that. I
That is
forgot.
such like as and I this is consistent with what I said like earlier in the conversation. That's just so dumb. I still think one of my this I want to give one thing that's different from what you said. One thing that will always stand out to me from this movie that I think is hilarious is when she's fighting the main antagonist guy at the end,
Jude
and he
Law.
starts, huh?
Jude Law's character.
Yes,
Yeah.
and he starts trying to like basically villain monologue. You know what I'm saying? When they start to like,
Oh, and she just murks him.
yeah, like 5 words in. That is so funny to me because it doesn't even pan to her. It's still on him when he gets it. I
Yeah.
just think that I remember the first time that happened and it was unexpected and I thought it was hilarious and I still think it's hilarious. Um,
I did not
I do
remember that.
like I do like seeing a lot of the characters that we know from like the Marvel universe in general, like in that movie in the back because there's less things established then.
Yeah.
And I do like. I mean, I kind of like the character, but I just really didn't like the power, like literally power out of nowhere. That crap. You want to make me mad about a movie? Do that. That and freaking opening credits that show backstory. You know me.
Those are the
Those
two
are the
things
two
for
things.
Paul that
Those
he
are the two
hates.
things.
Absolutely.
But this
I
was not Incredible Hulk, so I'm putting this above that. But I would definitely probably watch this again before Ant-Man and the Wasp because I do feel like there was more. I feel like the plot was like a little bit better.
Goose is
Um,
funny. I forgot about the cat with like
and there
the
was yeah, and like I kind of liked the betrayal factor.
yeah.
Um, like that always makes for like decent because there's a little more motivation. And like a just a different character dynamic when it comes from somebody that like starts as sort of like a what seems like a hero, and then all of a sudden they like end up becoming an antagonist. I'm actually kind of a sucker for those movies. So,
Yeah.
but
Can I just say
I mean,
one thing? Oh,
honestly,
sorry.
forgettable.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't really watch it. Yeah.
Her whole character in the MCU just felt very cheap.
Well, it hasn't been fleshed out like at all,
Yeah, and it's just
which is,
like,
but they
hey,
keep
we.
getting big spots. Yeah,
I was like, it was just like, hey, we had Infinity War, we lost. Let's give this new character and just put her right in the middle of
it
everything.
feels like the most rushed movie of all of them.
Yeah, and it's just like, oh yeah, she probably should have been in Infinity War, but she was out somewhere
Right,
else protecting other
right.
people. It's just like,
I think,
what?
and
Come
those are a
on.
lot of the reasons that I think I kind of have beef. Like, it just hasn't been able to cement itself as I don't know. I
You
mean,
don't
I
think
already
her whole thing is
yeah
like, oh, I'm out protecting all these other like what, like planets, galaxies, etc. She's
yeah. So
like,
the
oh,
Guardians,
but guess
bruh.
what? There's a Titan who's trying to eradicate half the universe. You don't think you should be there during
Yeah,
the
I don't.
first fight? Like, it just felt cheap. I don't know. It felt like, hey, and then she's not even in most of Endgame. Like, I don't understand like the purpose
Right.
of her character.
No, and I think they don't even. That's like very evident.
Yeah.
I
Anyway,
don't.
sorry. I
I
just
think
had to.
it's no. I couldn't. I mean, I definitely agree with everything you said. Even that aside from the movie, like the movie is really not that good. But I wonder too if like it feels like they don't have a vision for the movie. Like the vision for the movie was just to slap the character in the universe so that they could then put it in Endgame. That
Yeah.
was so dumb. Like that's pointless. Um, okay, so anyway, moving on to Ant Man. Love Ant Man. A tier. Right after Civil War. This movie is so fun, and I know I've said that many times. But it is this and Guardians and Ragnarok. I think are the three movies that definitely do not take themselves seriously,
Mm-hmm.
and it works out so well. The characters are so fun. His little squad is so fun. Him being at Baskin Robbins and talking about all that crap. Baskin Robbins never forgets. No, always finds out. That is so funny to me. Still. Also, the fact that well, I mean, I guess this is maybe from the comics. Again, I don't really know comics, but the fact that he's like not in any way, shape, or form like on the level of any of the other like Thor's a god, right?
Yeah.
And then I mean, Captain America is like a regular person, but even still, his backstory like legitimizes him as like a higher up person. And then Tony's like rich and is also incredibly smart. This man's just like he's a con,
Mm-hmm.
and that is so to me that's just like funny because it's so different.
He's smart though.
He is smart. He's smart and he's witty and he's crafty and he's like resourceful, adaptable, all those
Yeah.
things. And I think he shows that in many situations. Because like the other thing too in this movie is like it shows that when you get small and you're vulnerable, there are a lot of situations that automatically become more threatening too.
Mm-hmm.
And he like handles himself very well. I really love Paul Rudd kills it as Scott Lang. I like how he trains in the movie too. That's really funny. Um, like when he starts mastering, you see, even he gets to master his powers, which is really just the suit
Yeah.
and like all that stuff. Honestly, the only thing I really don't like is that the villain is literally a yellow suit
A yellow jacket.
version. That's so
I
like
yeah.
I don't know.
I'll
I
talk
just think
about it.
that's kind of stupid. I don't even mind like what's his name again? David something.
Darren Cross.
Darren. I don't even mind him as a character of like type, but the villain itself being like the yellow suit's kind of stupid.
Modoc.
It has one of hey spoilers. Hey, it has one of my favorite like last fight scenes though, because when it's like being all dramatic and then it zooms out and then it'll show like the toy train fall over.
Yeah.
That is so funny. That gets me every time. Um, and I also think it's just really wholesome how much he loves his daughter and how
Yeah.
that's such a big part of like what he does. Like that. I mean, we talk about, obviously in Endgame and I Love You 3000, like that being so big, but like this man was the original MCU daddy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
and
I
it's,
do.
I could slap this on anytime just for Michael Pena. Oh my God.
That's true too.
That
He
is
kills it.
priceless.
He's also the bright spot of Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Fact.
Him and Paul Rudd, like they're
Yeah,
the best
yeah.
parts of both movies in my
Oh yeah,
opinion.
oh yeah. And that's what I'll say about that. A tier, easy.
A tier. Um, we really agree on a lot of these. I think. I also put an A tier. I put it above Doctor Strange. Right below Endgame. I think Endgame's really good. I think it was exactly like Doctor Strange for me. I went in, or I didn't even see it in theaters. I watched it on TV or like on DVD or something. I don't even remember how I watched it. Maybe because that was before Disney Plus. But I watched it. I loved it. I had no expectations. Just again, completely agree with you. It's very similar to Thor and Guardians, where it's like just they do a really good job not taking the movie very seriously. This is one of the best movies in the MCU in my regards in the aspect of like it wasn't like world domination. Like the world wasn't gonna end
The
if he didn't
stakes were lower.
yeah,
Yeah.
if he didn't save the day, like the world
Mm.
wasn't gonna end. And I was okay and I thought that was cool. Like
Yeah.
that was like one of the few movies where that was the case. Like and I don't know, I just really liked it. I feel like you touched on everything else and we kind of touched on it with Ant-Man and the Wasp too. But yeah, that's kind of it with that one for me.
Oh, you're ready.
Spider-Man Homecoming. Woo! Oh gosh. Dang, these are kind of I don't know.
There's some toughies. There's some toughies in the class four.
I didn't really
And
get
by
it.
these, and by some toughies, I mean the two Spider-Man movies. Anyway.
Yeah, oof. So to me, Spider-Man Homecoming was half Spider-Man 1, half Iron Man 4.
Mm.
Like Spider-Man Homecoming felt like an Iron Man movie, and I think a lot of people kind of had that complaint, which is why it changed up so much in Far From Home. Or it did and it didn't. I don't know. It's just like his suit was just too technical. Like,
Yeah.
it was Iron Man 2. It was just like an Iron Man suit for Spider-Man.
Right.
And I didn't really enjoy that. I enjoyed him being a teenager, and like no offense to Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, I enjoyed him actually looking and acting like a teenager.
Mm.
I felt like he was probably a little more relatable in that aspect, but his whole suit thing, and also like how nobody suspected he was Spider-Man when he kept going on these trips and then like getting abducted,
Yeah.
and like Spider-Man kept showing up, and I don't know. Like his class, however smart they would maybe in their competitions, they're dumb as bricks. I love the MJ twist. I think that was
Mm,
cool. Um, uh, what do they actually call her? I kind of forget now.
um,
Wow, I
shoot,
can't even think of it.
I don't know
I
why I
know
can't.
Zendaya's MJ, but I forgot like what they called her in the
At first, yeah,
yeah in the
I don't know.
yeah. Anyways, I did really like the Vulture.
Oh yeah, he's awesome.
I thought he did a
Michael
really good
Keaton
job.
destroys.
Huh?
Yeah, he destroys.
What's
Like
the actor's name again? I can't think of
Michael
it.
Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Yeah, he crushes it. Like I think he did such a cool job. I think the scene where he doesn't have the spider or the Tony Stark suit
Hmm.
and he's fighting the Vulture, like all of that is pretty sick. I think when he's up in the airplane, it's kind of dumb. Like I'm like, all right, no shot.
Yeah.
But like when he's like under the rubble, like that scene
Oh,
hits so hard. He's like,
that. Damn it! Or excuse my language. You stole that from me, Sully. I was definitely. Go ahead. Go ahead.
when he's like, come on, Spider Man, come on, Spider Man. Like I just like I remember like sitting there going, come on, Spider Man. But like again, like besides that, I don't really know what else I really liked about the movie. So I'm gonna put it in the C tier. I'm gonna put it above Avengers: Age of Ultron. It's a good movie. I'd watch it again. Kind of like I mean, I'd watch all these movies again. I've enjoyed the MCU, if I'm being honest. I think Guardians 2 is better, but barely. So I guess that is my rationale for putting in the C tier. I don't know. I might have to do a little readjustment at the end. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, Paul.
All right. So I'm actually putting it right here. So in between Endgame and Black Panther, I. So first, I'm gonna talk about that scene. Well, actually, first I'll say I love the villain. Vulture's awesome. I also think
Hmm.
this is one of the epitome movies again of having a villain where like you actually understand their motivation, like you feel for them.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
the
also,
people.
this was also not big stakes too.
That's true. That's
Not
true.
end of
Yeah.
world. Hmm.
However, I do like the trend from this one and the next Spider-Man movie of like him cleaning up Tony's mess, low key. Like he almost created those villains unintentionally,
Mm-hmm.
and then Spider-Man's the one who like goes in and beats them. I think there's so many iconic like Tom Holland Spider-Man scenes in the movie. The one you just talked about, I love that scene, but I actually like what happens right before it when he's like basically like not giving up, but he's like yelling and there's no one around
Yeah.
and he's
Oh,
like
it's so
crying.
hard.
That
It's
is so hard.
no, yeah, yeah. Sorry, I meant
Yeah.
just like that
You
entire
probably
scene
mean
in
the whole
general.
sequence. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it was
Yeah,
just hard to watch. Like
it is. And then when
I
he
felt
lifts
like
it
I was
up,
suffocating.
I've looked up the original or I saw a YouTube video that compares that like on a side by side to like an iconic Spider-Man comic scene where he lifts up something
Hmm.
and like they obviously drew direct inspiration from that. It's such a good scene. I was like, that's such a good shot. I'm glad they chose to do that. Um, I think it's funny. I don't think the funniness is out of place again, as always, or not as always. I've said that before, but I think this is a movie that has a good balance. I
I
actually hadn't considered what you said, so I'm not gonna lie. I had it in A tier, and then I agree with you. I think there's too much Iron Man,
I will
and that
say
actually does bug me. And I think he takes too long when he's trapped, and he's like trying to figure out how to get out and
oh the
like
scene
mess
we
with
were
this.
just talking about that we liked.
No, no, no. That's trapped under the rubble when he's in the storage facility or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, for sure.
I think that takes a little too long.
That scene in
Um,
general is just kind of yeah.
yeah, and I know that like they're messing around and trying to show that like he's interacting with the suit and learning, but also one that shows that the suit is way too technical, and two, again, I just think like at a certain point you already know that stuff's going on, and it's kind of like, dude, just get out.
And
Like,
also I Ned's character was just way too smart to be able to hack Tony
yeah,
Stark's
yeah.
like tech. Like what? That doesn't make any sense.
Again, yeah, it's a movies, but to an extent, like remember how I said like I feel like they try really hard to make things believable. That was one where it's like, yeah, let's just pull something out of our butt, and
I will
yeah,
say something I enjoyed was like the whole thing is like yeah, it's kind of like an Iron Man movie, half Spider Man. I do kind of enjoy Tony Stark being like a father figure almost in the
yeah,
movie,
yeah,
And I enjoy the scene where he's like, all right, give me the suit. He's like, but I'm nothing without the suit. He's like, if you're nothing without the suit, then you shouldn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's something like that. I may have butchered the line.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
and
No,
I
it's
was
like
like, dang, that's like pretty deep.
no, and that's true. I do like that part. I think yeah, I mean, I think I hashed everything out. I have a good time watching it, so I think I'll watch it again. I also really like the boat scene when he
Yeah.
tries really hard. Because
Yeah, I
like
might.
that shows.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
might have to move it up. I think I do enjoy it more than I
this
realized.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think that his biggest quality is not all that. I know that it's cheesy, but they're trying to show that I think of all the heroes, maybe aside from Cap, but in like a less serious way, like Spider-Man has the best heart
Yeah.
and like literally cannot give up, and that's evident from our favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah.
And I think the movie does a good job of showing that for sure.
Yeah. I think I also just love Spidey, and I was being
Oh
hard.
yeah, that's why I was like, I can't. I was like, you get that one, and dang, these are so far at the end though. Iron Man
Yeah.
3. This is tough. I'm not gonna lie. I either want to put it right before or right after Iron Man 2. I think I'm gonna put it after, because no, who am I kidding? I actually really don't like this movie. I'll put it after Thor. I just think it's dumb. Like,
Yeah.
I think there are cool parts, and we've said it about every movie, but it's just not necessary.
Mhm.
I think it's cool to what it shows and does for his relationship with Pepper. Yeah, he makes some cool advancements to the suit. Yeah, there's still some interaction with some characters, but like they bring that boy in. I don't even remember his name. And
It
yeah,
comes to the funeral.
I was just say I think that's cool. It is so random that they're like, yeah, we're gonna bring you again later, but you will never do anything else in a single movie yet. I'm sure they'll probably randomly bring him in some newer movie. I don't know because that's what they do now. But yeah, you laugh. I laugh at that too. I'm like, what? But and I mean, it's kind of cool. Like the one thing I'll give it some credit to is like when he winds up in that town in general and whatever. Like it does seem like he's like, oh, how's he gonna get out of this? You know, he's in a bad situation.
Yeah.
But like the villain, it's just so weird of a concept. Yeah, they're gonna like be supery and then blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? And I get that there's also we'll say it again. This is another movie where the stakes aren't that high, but like I get too that like having Pepper involved makes it a big deal. And I mean the movie itself is a lot of character development for Tony, but also like I think that his character development comes more from a lot of the other movies and even Iron Man 2 more than this. It could have happened and nothing. It couldn't have happened and nothing would have changed. I very much feel that way, and I just think the movie overall is kind of flat. So
yeah.
I don't know, just not my favorite. So I'm gonna leave it there.
All right. I honestly would put it in the exact same spot, but I think I'd put it in front of Thor.
Okay.
I think it's just because I like Iron Man's character more.
Yeah. It's also it was shot in Wilmington. Shout out.
Yeah, true. I think it has really cool moments, and I think it has more cool moments than Thor does, personally. Mm-hmm. Like the original Thor movie, like it's not super memorable. I think I've only seen it once. I think I've seen Iron Man 3 more than once and have enjoyed it. I agree, like the villain's kind of dumb. I think a villain makes or breaks the movie. I think the Mandarin twist was funny to me. Mm-hmm. I know some people didn't like it if they read the comics because the Mandarin's a badass. But like to me, as not a comic book person, I enjoyed the twist. Mm-hmm. But like again, I understand people being upset about it. I love Tony Stark. I love Iron Man. I think the scenes where he was able to like control the suit and like save Pepper when his mansion was getting blown up, like that was sick. Mm. And then like have it come back and like attach him, like it just goes to what you said earlier, how he's like always advancing his tech. And then like how he like has all these suits that he's prepared to like save himself. And then I thought it was kind of dumb that he like blew them up at the end and then still kind of had them in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Or like because like in Spider-Man, like he brings not Spider-Man. He still has them later though in some movie. I can't remember which one.
Throughout he tends to still have plenty of like customization and tech and options and
suits and things like that. And Yeah, at the end of this movie, he gets rid of his like arc reactor in his chest, but then like he still wears the arc reactor part of his suit. I guess that makes sense because he needs it to power the suit, but still, um, I don't know. It was just kind of, it was pretty bad. Honestly, I don't know if it's worse than Iron Man 2.
I was, yeah, I don't know.
Like now that I'm looking at that, I think I might have enjoyed it because I've seen it more than Iron Man 2. So I think
I also have.
I might flip them and put it above Iron Man 2, but I'll reevaluate everything at the end. We'll run through it again.
Yeah.
Real quick. But yeah, that's it. Thor Dark World F tier. It's in front of Hulk for me. That's all I got. Not very memorable movie, pretty bad, not very humorous, terrible villain. I think the only memorable part was when Loki faked his death for like the upteenth time, and you're kind of like, oh, no way. Didn't expect that one. The fight at the end was dumb. The movie in general felt very dumb. The ether seemed dumb. Like, I've seen the movie once, and I don't want to watch it again. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say because I don't really remember it, but I remember it being bad. That's all I can say.
Spend that much more time on it. But basically, I feel like a lot of things in the movie are either forced or stupid. The fights are bad. I like that him and Loki work together for, like, whatever. That's it. That's like the only thing I can give it credit for. Then bringing Jane back in felt forced. Like, I know it's a part of the plot, but the way they wrote it is just like, yeah, okay, sure. The ether's dumb. The villain is horrendously dumb. They brought the Dark Elves in, which I feel like could have been like a potential opportunity, right? And then they like didn't even use it well. So shout out to negative points for that. Yeah, I didn't like it. Okay. So anyway, we'll cap it off with the very last one, Spider-Man Far From Home.
Which makes sense because that was the last one to come out, at least.
That's true.
I
I really enjoy this movie, so it's going in A.
Interesting.
This is hard. I actually think Mysterio is like top 5 villain. Really enjoy he's like funny in a way that like he's crazy. Like when he talks to the team of people that he's with, and the way he like gives orders, it's humorous. I think Jake Gyllenhaal does a great job. I also think that like we talked about the iconic moments in Spider-Man Homecoming. I think the iconic moments in this movie like really stick with me. So and some of them are like good Spider-Man moments. Some of them are like moments where he messes up. So I think the montage, sorry, not the montage, like not mind control, but the illusion sequence that leads to him getting hit by the train.
Yes.
That is so crazy cool.
That is one of the top, like that's probably like one of the top 10 like MCU scenes. Like it's so cool.
It's so cool, and then when it leads to him getting hit by the train, like you're like, oh shoot, like he just got worked.
Yeah.
And then, but even at the end when he
is
up against all the drones, like that sequence is him again. That's like, yeah, he has powers and stuff, but like he comes up with a plan. It's witty. He trusts himself. Yep, he uses the Peter Tingle and everything. But like when he's even wrapping up all the drones and then uses the tech and does that, like that part's sick because of how he's like weaving around and like navigating and stuff. But even when he gets in there and he has to dodge those few drones and get all the way to the end and like stop Mysterio, like that part's sick too because it happens so fast and he's just like boom, 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 boom. I think the supporting characters sort of play like there are parts that too much attention is put on them.
Yeah.
I know it's again to create some sort of stakes as well and also some humor. So like I'll let it slide, but also sometimes I'm like, okay, there was too much here. I did like the twist, even though I guess like I didn't know enough about comics to know that he was a villain. I do think the marketing was good because I legitimately did believe that he was going to be a good guy for a second.
So the marketing I thought made it seem like he was a bad guy. But like not in the way that you thought.
Okay.
I don't
I
remember
don't
it though
remember.
that
I have to
well.
go back and watch the
Because
trailer.
like the
But
original show or the original comics, like Mysterio is a bad guy.
right, that's what I'm saying though. Is I feel like I watched it and I was like, I liked the twist, but I guess
Yeah,
most people would have been like, it's not a twist. But I was like, well, I wouldn't know. But
yeah.
even so,
I
them
think
writing
he.
him in the way they did is still a twist because he comes from like he's still influenced sort of by Tony, which in the comics it would have nothing to do with him.
Yeah,
I think.
which
So
is
I like
cool.
right. And I actually go back and forth as to whether or not I like the glasses. I don't really know.
I think.
Like, oh yeah, here are the glasses that will control the drones. Like, I don't know, but I do like. I don't know. I really enjoy this movie, and I like to watch it a lot. Actually, mainly, I do think that the last third of the movie is very good. Like when you're finally into the action, I like Nick Fury's involvement in it, and Maria
Scroll, you
Hill.
mean?
Scroll. That's right. Scroll. Scroll one and Scroll two. I like their involvement, and I like the class. Like I do think the class kind of is funny. But again, yeah, they're so stupid that they can't figure out that it's him. I'm
Yeah, just Zendaya
yeah.
does.
And then another
Oh,
scene that's
Michelle.
really
Her name's Michelle.
thank you. Yes, you're right. Another scene that's sick is when he gets picked up by Happy and he starts going to work on the suit. Like I know that was an intentional callback to like Iron Man, but I really do like that.
Oh wait, and then doesn't he play like AC/DC? And then what
Yeah.
does he say?
And he's like, "Oh my god, I love." What does he say? Aerosmith or something? I don't know.
Yeah, it's something
He says
completely
something
wrong.
totally. Yeah, it's like, "Oh my god, I love." You're like, okay. Oh my god, I love Led Zeppelin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's something like that.
And then also, I really liked that they kept calling him, what was it, Night Monkey or something?
Yeah, that was funny. It's like that's
Like,
not Spider-Man, that's Night Monkey.
that's one of the, like, some of the movies when they do something small like that, you're like, okay, stop. But that one, I was like, what? But it was funny. So, yeah, I really like this one. I actually do like it more than the first one because it is, like, really a Spider Man movie. And he just seems more capable in this movie, even though he still makes some stupid mistakes. By the
Yeah.
end, you're like, this man is legit. And that's cool. So,
Hmm.
all
All
right.
right.
Bring us home, Sullivan.
I'll try my best. Hmm. Where do I put Far From Home? You made some good points. However, I don't agree that it's A tier. I. This is hard. This is like hard to rank them, honestly. This is like I feel like I should have really thought this out beforehand instead of doing it on the spot. I feel like doing it on the spot is difficult. I think this is a B tier movie, and I'll tell you why. Um, as far as where it is B tier, I'll put it below Winter Soldier.
Kidding.
But I think I might move Homecoming up because like after we did talk about it, I think I might move Homecoming top of the B tier. I think I like Homecoming more than Far From Home. Which is weird based on everything we just talked about. I thought Mysterio, I agree. Super cool, very well done. I think the twist that he uses the drones instead of actual magic was well done.
I liked that a lot too.
Like
Yeah.
I think because like in the comics, Mysterio's like a magician, master of dark arts, something like that. I don't really know, but like I think the drones was cool and different, and not like oh you just have to believe it that he's a magician. Like I think they did a good job that like oh yeah there's tech that can do this and make it believable. That part I was like cool, and I agree with you. The scene where he's like getting destroyed with the illusions absolutely like blew my mind when I watched it. I was like, no shot. Like I thought this movie was almost over. And then like when he's freaking out if it's actually happy or not, like I was like
Oh yeah.
I think that just
PTSD.
I think that just shows Tom Holland's like acting abilities. Like he's just so believable when he's like in that like state of like terror and panic. Like he just does it so well. I don't know. And then again, the scene you said already where he's on the bridge, also amazing. My quarrels with the movie, the monsters kind of dumb.
Yeah, that's a little lame.
They don't really make sense And like somebody had to have been like, oh hey, this isn't actually destroying anything. These are all illusions. You know?
Yeah.
Like how does like nobody sense that? The other thing I thought was really dumb, which you said you kind of go back and forth on, was the glasses, the whole glasses part of the movie.
Yeah.
Like with how powerful those glasses are, you don't think it took one
What
look
the heck?
at
Yeah.
Mysterio and went like, "Oh, this is a person that used to work for Tony Stark." You know? Cuz you know that's in a database somewhere.
Right. It's that smart. Yeah.
Yeah, or like, you know, when he puts the glasses on in the bar to transfer ownership, you don't think Edith was like, "Oh, hey, by the way, none of the stuff in here is real right now." Like that
No,
just
that's a good point.
that
It's.
entire part of the movie was just so dumb to me.
I also still think it's a little sus that he even got left those anyway.
Yeah, well, yeah, I also agree. I I still think Mysterio super cool bad guy.
Oh yeah.
I
Oh yeah.
just wish if they took the glasses out of it, I think it would have been really cool. And I think maybe if they'd done the illusions a little different, that might have been cool. I think it was well done. This, I guess, in a certain way. I don't know. I go back and forth. Um, but yeah. I guess that's my tier list. Do you? I guess before we wrap up, is there anything you want to change about yours? Like, have you, like, kind of looked at it and thought, maybe I want to move these, or
I'm
are you,
looking. Yeah.
are you confident in your choices?
I think my S tier's good.
Your S tier is good.
Uh,
You honestly convinced me to move some. Like, I think
um,
good rationale.
my. Hmm. No, I'm think I'm gonna stick to it.
Okay.
The one I feel like the most like I will comment on this, even though I'm not moving it. The one I feel most biased about, like I recognize that I'm putting it somewhere, and I think it's more personal than me like actually trying to think through things. Even though, to an extent, these are our opinions, so of course they're personal. Is Doctor Strange?
Yeah.
I will agree that is absolutely like
That's a little harsh.
yeah. I will definitely own that. Yep.
I think I'm
What
going to
about
move
you?
Far From Home down a little. I think on mine.
Hmm.
I think I'm move it under Black Panther. No, I'll move it above. Ah, jeez, this is so hard. I don't like a lot of these movies. I feel like it just depends on what I've watched most recently,
Yeah. No, I get that too.
and like what I have. Like I love Spider-Man and this character that is
Yeah.
Spider-Man. Honestly, if we ranked Far From Home in here, I'd probably put in the S tier too.
Oh,
I
I
love
would
that.
too. I would too.
I love
Yeah.
that movie. I think I also would put Iron Man above Ragnarok and Avengers, but I think the rest of it kind of stands.
Nice.
I think. I don't know. I might put Winter Soldier down a couple.
All right. You know what? We can just stop there. Anyway.
But yeah, that's our tier list. Thanks for everybody that watched until this point. It's probably a really long video.
Hey, 1.5
Uh,
speed works wonders. Yeah.
Yeah, see, when I watch tier list videos, feel like I just skip ahead to the movies that I want ranked and like
Fact.
listen to their
You're like,
rationale.
well, anyway, later on. Yeah.
But
We
yeah,
could timestamp this. Maybe. I don't know.
that'd be a lot of work. I'm okay.
So he's like, yeah, you can timestamp this.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Hope you all had a good time and just roast the hell out of us. Anyway.
Bye.